If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 51, Third Eye. After surviving that ridiculously hyped-up spell of Licks, Yami opened up the cocoon and the three of them greeted Gauche and Finral before walking over to the defeated Licht. "Yo Yami!" Grim called. "He's still alive." "Eh? Seriously? If he could survive that, then why were we so worried?" "I know, right? I think we might have overestimated him." Grim agreed. "Ah, I guess it just goes to show you that sometimes you shouldn't be too careful." "Yeah." Grim nodded. "We should be more reckless from now on." "I hear ye." Groan. Listening to them talk about him as if he wasn't here caused Licht to groan in dissatisfaction. "Since we caught the leader, does that mean we'll get a reward?" Grim asked while kicking the downed enemy leader. Taking a puff out of his cigarette, Yami thought about it for a quick second before nodding. "Probably, at least that stick in the mud firecracker can rest in peace now." "Firecracker? You know that Captain Fuegoleon isn't dead, right?" "Really?" "Yeah, he lost his right arm though." "His right arm? Pfft, he might as well be dead then." Opening his grimoire up, Yami started looking for a binding spell. "Sigh, I really hate you too." Licht sighed and closed his eyes. Now where was it? "Ah, there it is, Dark Bind." Yami muttered to himself before suddenly looking up. Feeling it too, Grim lifted his head and looked in the same direction. "Isn't that spatial magic?" Asta asked, seeing a portal open up ahead of them with three people appearing out of it. "Yan, wow, this place is quite a mess, isn't it?" Flashing forward at a blinding speed, a man with black hair with white patches dressed in the garb of the Eye of the Midnight Sun appeared in front of Yami and placed his hand on his grimoire's cover. "Well, isn't this a strange design?" Caught off guard by his speed, Yami's eyes went wide briefly before he clutched his katana. "Dark magic, dark cloaked avidya slash." "Hiya! Whoa there, you almost took my arm off." "See, this is why I didn't want to do this." The man groaned as he turned to look at his companions before placing his hand on the small wound that got caught in Yami's attack. Light recovery magic, healing ray of light. Emitting small particles of light out of his hands, the wound on the stranger's arm healed. "Not another one?" Grim muttered. "Another light mage?" Asta exclaimed while Yami frowned. "Thanks for showing up." Licht smiled while a pink-haired girl used fire healing magic on his body. Who are these guys?" Asta stuttered, seeing the new wave of enemies. Hearing him, Licht chuckled. "Let me introduce you to the strongest members of the Eye of the Midnight Sunday." "The strongest?" "When it comes to battle, their power even exceeds mine. They're known as the Third Eye." "The way this guy is smiling right now is irritating." "Ha! Stronger than you? Stop bluffing." Finral laughed. "Bluffing?" The man with the white patches in his hair yawned and gathered magic in his right hand. "Like we have time for something as pointless as that. If you don't believe it, then I'll just show you." "What?" Everyone gasped when they saw what he did. Manifesting a sword in his hand made out of dark magic, the black-haired man showed it off. "That sword? It's the same as Yami's." Smiling at the look of shock on their faces, Licht continued his monologue. "Your kingdom used the clover plant as its symbol, right? With each leaf representing faith, hope and love. Well, the name of these three are the opposite of that. Imitation magic, dark cloaked avidya slash. Ryu the disloyal." Swinging his blade at Yami and the others, Ryu launched Yami's magic at them. "Tch, don't go using other people's magic." Yami countered. "Dark cloaked avidya slash. Veto the despair." Licht continued. "Shit. Beast magic, bear claw." Surrounding his arms in magic shaped like a bear claw, the burly Veto charged at Yami and started slashing at him. "Beast magic." Grim's eyes went wide and the edge of his lips started turning upwards. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Despair. Show me your despair. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Fuck. Yami cursed as Veto broke his blade. Fana the hateful. Spirit magic, salamander's breath. Yami. Asta yelled as he and the rest watched as a powerful stream of fire shot towards him. Boom. "I hate you." The pink-haired girl spoke. "I'll never forgive you." Tch. Removing his black cocoon, Yami couldn't help but kiss his teeth and focus on the little salamander perched up on her shoulder. Spirit magic. Doesn't that guy also have it? Fana the hateful was it? Yami called out. You know that nobody like hysterical women, right? I'll kill you. See what I mean? Standing side by side, the three members of the Third Eye faced off against Yami and the others. Sai, you guys stay here. Yami said before taking a step forward. Sorry Yami. Grim suddenly spoke up and took a step forward. But that ain't gonna fly. Hey. When there's so many strong people standing in front of me flexing their power, I just really scary smile wanna crush him. Something ain't right with this kid. Shaking his head, Yami pushed him back. You said you wanted to see what a captain looks like when they go all out, right? Well, get ready because I'm about to surpass my limits right here and right now. What? You don't want to miss that, do you? That's what I thought. Good, now stay back there and watch me win this. Win this? Lick suddenly spoke up. I'm sorry to say, but that won't be possible. Each member of the Third Eye is far stronger than any one of your kingdom's captains. Is that so? Yami asked, walking forward. Then show me. Imitation magic, dark cloaked avidya / spirit magic, salamander's breath. Captain Yami. Asta screamed. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Ugh. Covering their faces from the dust and debris flying everywhere, Grim and the rest were surprised when they brought their arms down and saw Yami laying on the ground while three people stood in front of him. Did you hear that, Char? They said that they're stronger than a captain. Please don't address me as such, your appearance is bad enough as it is, there's no need to make it worse for yourself by speaking. Humph, to attack a Clover captain within our own territory, how arrogant of you. Sea captains! Asta exclaimed. TCH, just as I was about to awaken my hidden powers, you guys had to come and interrupt, didn't you? Yami sighed. You better repay me when we get back. To think you could still speak such nonsense despite you laying in the dirt. Now that the dust had settled, Asta and the others were able to see who they were exactly. Captain Charlotte, Captain Jack, and Captain Nozzle. Finral stuttered. Braided bangs. Grim said loudly in surprise, causing Nozzle to cringe. Ah ha 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 ha. Yami burst out laughing. Braided bangs. Nice one, kid. TCH, I'll deal with the two of you as soon as I'm done with these terrorists. Chapter 52, The Talk. Fuck. There's so much people stronger than me in here that it makes me sick. Grim clenched his fists and grit his teeth. But why is it that I can't stop smiling? Feeling his blood grow restless, the smile on Grim's face deepened. Okay, let's do this. He grinned and summoned his beast swords. Stay out of this, you trash. Nozzle called out before turning his head to the side to look at him. When captains are fighting, a weakling like you should stay back. Seeing the serious look in Nozzle's eyes, the atmosphere around Grim suddenly darkened. The fuck did you just say? He asked in scarily dark voice. Not waiting to receive an answer, the mana in his body suddenly exploded out and rose to a level that even caught the Third Eye off guard. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. This mana. The Third Eye all looked in his direction. Grim. Asta said, sensing his anger. Can it be? Rhea muttered, remembering the time that he and Catherine had visited that lake. Charlotte and Jack looked at him in surprise. Me a weakling? Take it back. He muttered. Take it back. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. With the sudden release of his mana, those standing near Grim were forced to take a step back as his power started climbing to dangerous levels. TCH, this kid is really out of control. Take it back, take it back, take it back, take it back, take it back. Hey? Where am I? Standing in a lightless void surrounded by empty darkness, Grim found himself standing on a solid surface that resembled water. What the hell? Crouching down slowly, he touched the surface of the water and to his surprise he found that his hand passed through it like it was normal water. Weird. Pretty cool, isn't it? Hey! Caught off guard by the sudden voice, Grim sprang to action and spun around to look at the originator of that voice. You! What the hell are you? Standing in front of him was the distorted figure of a man that seemed like he was glitching in and out of reality. Ah, it looks like you're here too early. Contrary to the figure's appearance, its voice was actually really clear. Too early? What the fuck are you talking about? No, fuck that. Tell me where I am first. You know, I never realized it till now, but you swear a lot. Growing annoyed at his ramblings, Grim focused on his hands and prepared to summon out his beast swords. That won't work here. The figure chuckled in amusement. Ignoring him, Grim kept focusing and trying to materialize his weapons to no avail. What the hell? Told ya. What? Why? Flashing to his side, the distorted figure placed its hands on Grim's shoulder. You ready to talk now? Deep breath yet. So what is this place? I'm pretty sure that I was just in a cave a second ago. You were? The figure nodded. Then how come I'm here? The real question is, why are any of us here? Just to suffer. What? No comeback. Sai, who are you? What do you mean? I'm just your friendly neighborhood rando that's willing to talk to you. Don't bullshit me. I know that line. As a matter of fact, I should be the only one who knows that line. So I'll ask you again. Who? They? Fuck. Are? You? Ptha ha 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 ha. Oh god, you're serious, aren't you? Ha 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 ha. Laughing for the next couple of minutes, the distorted figure finally managed to calm down and wipe its eyes like it had tears. Okay, so how do I explain this? I got it. Finally. Don't finally me, I'm dumbing this shit down for you so it makes sense. Right. Grim rolled his eyes. Wait a second. Didn't I just say that in my mind? Yep. The figure nodded gleefully. Wait, what the fuck? Grim backed up. You can read my mind. Read it. It's practically an echo in this place. What? I know, weird, right? So anyway, what we're in right now is technically your mind. My mind? Yep, though it's way too early for you to be in here, something must have triggered one of your past memories and dragged you in here. Can't believe I didn't account for that. Oh well, live and learn, right? What are you talking about? Grim asked, thoroughly confused. Oh right, I should probably introduce myself. You can call me King. King? I'm not calling you that. Ah, really? Kman, it's like super cool and better than my actual name. Can you just tell me what's going on? Promise to call me King. What? If you promise to call me King, then I'll tell you. You're getting off on this, aren't you? Like you wouldn't believe. Sigh, fine, I'll call you King. Now can you tell me where I am, what's going on and who you are? Oh, that's simple, I'm you. Okay, so let me get this straight. You're the originally me from the realm of gods, and right now we're in my mindscape. Our mindscape? Well, if you're being technical, I guess this is really just a fraction of my own. Anyway. Grim cut him off. We're in my mindscape because I managed to recall something I shouldn't have, and to stop my brain from burning out I was pulled in here. Pretty much. The distorted figure nodded. Okay, I get that, but why are you here? Don't you remember your final wish? My final wish? You mean me wishing for my core memories? Well, technically I made that wish, but sure, take the credit for yourself. Ignoring him, Grim continued. So you're here because of my wish to keep my core memories? Yep. But why would that happen? I just wanted to remember some vital stuff, not have a brain meltdown. Yet. The distorted figure nodded. It's actually really weird that you came in here this early in the plot. I was thinking it'd take way more time. Plot? Oh shit. You remember everything about this world, don't you? Give spoilers. What? Fuck no. Why not? Because it'd ruin my plans. Your plans? Yet, you don't think I'd want to keep my core memories just so I could remember I reincarnated, right? Wait, you didn't? I mean, we didn't. Hell no. I finally managed to get a vacation and I'm going to take full advantage of it. Full advantage? You're not planning to steal my body, are you? Technically it's my body, so I could do whatever I want with it, but no, I'm not planning to do that. Then what are you planning? Spoilers. What? Spoilers, bro, I ain't gonna tell you. What? Don't be a dick. Being a dick is fun. If he could grin, Grim was sure he was doing it right now. Besides, as long as you're still alive for the next 100 to 200 chapters you'll eventually find out. Feeling a sudden pull, Grimm realized this he was returning to his body. Wait. I can't measure chapters in real time. Sucks for you then doesn't it? You piece of she. Pop. Watching Grimm disappear from this place, the distorted figure couldn't help but laugh. Man, this is really gonna be fun. Creator's thoughts. Errata. LOL, props to anyone who can figure out King's master plan with the core memories. Chapter 53, Control. Ugh. Opening his eyes up albeit with some difficulty, Grimm felt a stinging pain emanating from his head as he found himself staring up at the ceiling of his bedroom inside the Black Bull's base. Sigh, did I pass out again? Asterisk. Recalling the scene of himself in the cave repeating the words take it back over and over again, Grimm put together the pieces of how he got here. So that was me recalling something from a past life. You're awake. A quiet voice suddenly exclaimed. Turning his head to the side, Grimm was surprised to see the makeup-wearing Gordon sitting next to his bed making what he could only assume to be a doll of himself. Gordon. Grabbing him by his hands, Gordon brought his head down to them and in a teary voice he said. I'm so happy you're okay. The healers said you were okay physically but for some reason you just didn't wake up. I didn't wake up. Could that have been during the time that I was inside my mindscape? Suddenly realizing that the base seemed too quiet, Grimm realized that he couldn't sense the mana signatures from any of the other Black Bulls. Where are the others? The others. Raising his head, Gordon blinked a few times until Grimm's words finally settled in. A couple of days ago the Wizard King ordered the Magic Knights to retrieve a magic stone from a place called the Seabed Temple. Listening to Gordon's explanation of what had happened over the last few days, Grimm learnt that the Eye of the Midnight Sun guys were actually looking for something called a magic stone and that this Seabed Temple place apparently had one. After learning all of this, Gordon eventually left in order to pick up some supplies to speed up Grimm's recovery. While he was fine physically, Gordon wanted to be extra careful and bring him some healing concoctions from his family home. Sighing to himself, Grimm eventually started thinking back on the events of the cave battle. TCH, so in the end I couldn't even watch a captain-level battle besides Yami's. And what was up with that Fana the hateful chick? If I'm looking at her from a physical standpoint, then she's definitely not older than me by much. So why the hell is she so goddamn powerful? Even stronger than that licked guy who could go toe-to-toe with Yami. Damn it. All of them were stronger than me. Clenching his teeth tightly, Grimm raged for the next 5 minutes before eventually calming down. And now I'm stuck here while everyone else gets to go have fun in some underwater palace. Sigh, why did they leave me with Gordon of all people? Thinking about everything that had transpired, 2 glaring issues stuck out to him. The first one was what King had said to him in their shared mindscape. If what he was saying was true and that him using his wishes to retain his core memories was all for some higher purpose, then would that mean that this elven blood and demon-slaying magic also played a part in his plans? The second glaring issue was the light mage licked. While Grimm achievements so far have been impressive, in front of that licked guy all he could do was hide behind Yami. I have to get stronger. Recalling Lick's figure, something felt off to him. What was it that Yami said again? Guys with a lot of mana can do all sorts of things. Thinking about it now, it was actually quite weird that Lick was able to fly the way he did. While he may not be an expert on light magic mages, he was pretty sure that flying wasn't an inherent part of their abilities. Could it be because of the way he was utilizing his own mana? Closing his eyes for a bit, Grimm considered the many ways in which doing this would be possible before eventually getting up and going outside. Sitting cross-legged in the courtyard, Grimm took several deep breaths as he focused on controlling his mana. After arriving in this world 5 years ago he had taught himself how to use mana at the basic level. Then after leaving the forest and meeting Sister Teresa he was taught the proper ways in which to properly control his own mana. But to say that controlling mana was one of his strong points would be a huge lie. While he wasn't bad at it by any means, he couldn't exactly say he was an expert. It was at least comforting to know that he was better at controlling it compared to someone like Noelle who had been practicing since she was a child. In this regard Grimm was far behind everyone else. From the moment he was reincarnated in this world he had the time disadvantage. Coupled with his exceedingly weak body, he really struggled to get to where he is now. While Yami and the rest of the Magic Knights may see him as a genius with never-before-seen potential, only Grimm knew just how hard he had worked to get here. The fact that he was able to reach where he was with only 5 years of training was a miracle in itself. If he was reincarnated as a child, his current power would be far above what it is now. Sigh, no point thinking about things I can't change. If I'm going to get stronger, I can't get stuck on what could have been. With no one around to fight, Grimm's mental state was actually really calm and quite serene. It was unknown if this was a result of him focusing on his task or a side effect of entering the transparent world. After learning Ki, Grimm's thought process of using mana had changed considerably. If mana was all around them, Ki could be said to be found in everything. Sitting in the same position for the next few hours, Grimm ignored everything from the outside world. Even Gordon's calls were ignored as he had lost himself in feeling the Ki and mana in his own body. Creator's thoughts. Errata. LOL, for someone who reached this stage after only training for 5 years. Grimm really is a monster. Somehow managed to do a double chapter release today, so keep scrolling. Chapter 54, Friends. Unlike the erratic way he had previously used Ki in the cave, Grimm finally had the time to sit down and properly feel the Ki around him and gain a deeper understanding of this new ability. Coupled with the hypersensitivity brought along by the effects of the transparent world and the natural way mana bent itself for him, Grimm felt like nothing could escape his senses. Even that weak mana signature in the lower regions of the Black Bull's base couldn't escape his detection. Wait. Why is there an unfamiliar mana signature in our base? Are we being invaded? Are there enemies nearby? Confused and slightly more excited than he should be, Grimm dropped his whole mana control training and charged into the base. Through the halls, down the stairs and into an unfamiliar room, Grimm found himself staring at a thin-looking bedridden man with unruly long white hair that covered his eyes and reminded Grimm of something called a he**tie protagonist. Seeing the bedridden man struggling to lift his head, the excitement that Grimm previously felt quickly diminished. What the hell? Is this guy really an enemy? Seeing his door burst open, the unfamiliar man raised his head and with a smiling face he said, Hello Grimm. Frowning at the sound of his name, Grimm suddenly realized that his mana was diminishing and being transferred to this guy. Surprised and wary, Grimm immediately materialized his flame sword and pointed it at the stranger. Seeing him, the unfamiliar man couldn't help but smile. Hot-headed and quick to use violence. You're exactly as Asta described. Asta. Henry Legoland. The man held his hand out. Shaking his hand, Grimm introduced himself. After listening to what the man had to say, he learnt that he was actually an AUG member of the Black Bulls that was stuck down here due to his ability to unintentionally siphon off other people's mana. Luckily for him, he met the manaless Asta and was able to learn more about the Black Bulls and the current things happening in the Clover Kingdom. After spending a bit of time here, Grimm eventually let his guard down and the two got to know each other better. After being abandoned by his parents from a young age due to his unintentional mana siphoning curse, Henry felt a connection to the amnesiac Grimm who couldn't remember his parents and was forced to survive alone in that forest by himself. For Grimm, Henry's siphoning ability wasn't too much of an issue. Due to his ridiculous mana reserves, the amount being siphoned away was pretty insignificant in his eyes. So you think you could beat this licked guy? Henry asked after hearing Grimm's version of how things went down during Lick's fight with Yami. Not at my current level. He shook his head. But if I keep improving at the same rate that I am now, it won't take too long. Listening to him, Henry nodded. What will you do after you beat him? Find someone stronger than beat them. Grimm answered without hesitation. Wow. Henry said before falling silent. What? It's nice to have a goal. He smiled sadly. You don't have one. Shaking his head, Henry hung his head. What about talking to the others? Grimm suddenly said. What? I can't do that. He shook his head wildly. If they come near me, I'll start siphoning off their mana. You know, for someone who's been watching us for ages, you sure don't know shit about the Black Bulls. What? I said you don't know shit about us. Look, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure that nobody would mind if you siphoned off their mana. Hell, you're siphoning off my mana right now and I'm not complaining. But that's because you have so much. That's irrelevant to what I'm saying. It is. It is. Grimm nodded. You want to be friends with everyone, right? I do. Henry said with conviction. Good. He smiled. Then let that be your goal. My goal? Yeah, that's my goal. But what if I start siphoning their magic again? Then surpass your limits and stop siphoning. Grimm said, taking a page out of Yami's book. Surpass my limits? Yeah. Grimm grinned. Don't let a shitty curse stop you. Surpass your limits and go make some friends. Okay. I'll come visit you again, don't forget, surpass those limits. Grim waved, leaving the room. Thanks, Grim. I promise to surpass my limits and make friends. Smiling, Grim eventually closed the door and made his way back up to the upper levels. Encouraging others really isn't really my thing, but I guess doing it once in a while isn't too bad. He smiled. Now then, should I return to practicing mana control or take advantage of the black bowls being gone? Thinking about the advantages of each options, Grim eventually went with the later. While he could practice mana control whenever he wanted, he doubted that such an opportunity like this would happen again soon. Knowing what he wanted to do while the others were away, Grim went to his room and pulled out a map of the Clover Kingdom. After finding the location he was looking for, he nodded to himself before grabbing a tattered black cloak and his broomstick. I won't be able to use my swords or any defining spells while I'm there. If things go wrong, I'm screwed. Standing on his broom, Grim took the sky and started flying in the direction he had marked on his map. I need to do this quickly. If too many of them gang up on me, then I'll probably get discovered and will probably go to jail. Sigh, it'd be so much easier if I could just fight without having to worry about them discovering my identity. Then again, it'd be pointless if they couldn't force them to use their strongest spells. That reminds me, I should only use one type of magic until I escape. Thinking about it, Grim really hated that he didn't know many other mages. Is this what it's like to feel unpopular? Shaking those thoughts out of his head, he saw that he was approaching his destination. Slowing down, Grim came to a halt and took in the sight. So this is what this place looks like. I've got to say, the Blue Rose's base is much nicer than ours. Creator's thoughts. Errata. Sadly, Grim won't be fighting Veto, which is shame since I know you guys wanted to see that battle of the beasts. But this was such a good opportunity for Grim to meet Henry and go to the Blue Rose's base that I just couldn't miss it. And TBH, I've been wanting to send Grim there for a while now, but I couldn't find a point in which he could separate from the others organically without raising suspicion. I also foreshadowed him coming to the base in earlier chapters, it's just that now seems to be the perfect time. Chapter 55, Blue Rose Base. According to the information given to him by Sister Teresa during his early days, the Blue Rose Magic Knight Squad is a special squad due to it being composed solely of women and having the motto of refusing to worship and idolize any man. For a naive man, the Blue Rose Base could be seen as a promised land, but from what Grim was told by Finral, the male members of the squad actually served as errand boys to the women and have sacrificed their masculinity for a love that they will never receive. In simple terms, it's the home of the simps. Standing above the base with his broom, Grim closed his eyes and sensed the ki and mana of those insides. A couple on the upper layers and a few on the middle ground. While fighting more opponents would be fun, I can't afford to waste time since I can't use my grimoire or specific spells. Breath of Flames. Breathing lightly, the orange glow of his magic element wrapped itself around his body. Since Breath of Flames was his most destructive breath style without the use of his swords, Grim decided that it'd be wise to use this one in order to complete his mission. I should also change up the way I talk so I can avoid suspicion if they ever manage to suspect me. Now the question is, what kind of personality should I go for? I could try to copy Finral, but something about that makes me cringe. I could try acting like Asta, but I'm not particularly a fan of yelling. Lux's personality is too volatile and I'd probably lose myself in the act. Magna's is too in your face and Gordon's is too quiet and a bit too creepy for my taste. I guess I could act like Gauche, but do I really want to act like a Siscon? I don't know why I'm even considering it. I guess that only leaves Yami. For some reason I don't think I'd be able to pull it off though. A/N, Yami is one of a kind. Sigh, I guess I could take aspects of Finral's and mix some of my personality in. Yeah, let's go with that for now. Nodding to himself, Grim put his mask on and floated down towards the Blue Rose base. Hey Rysaka, do you think Sis is okay? Standing in a beautifully furnished room, the boisterous soul lay on her friend's bed while the mature-looking Rysaka stood in front of her mirror and checked her figure out. I'm sure she's fine. The captain isn't so weak that she needs you to worry about her. I know, but I can't help but feel uneasy, you know. Soul sighed. I know. Rysaka nodded. But as members of the Blue Rose, we have a duty to believe in our captain. Ah, isn't that nice? Freezing in place, the soul jumped off the bed as the two women quickly span around in direction of the mysterious voice, only to see a masked man in black sitting on the windowsill while looking at them and stroking his chin. No need to stop for me, Just carry on with your conversation and pretend that I'm not here. The man said, hurrying them along. Surprised by the man's appearance, Rysaka and Sol fell silent for a second before their grimoires started glowing. Whoa, whoa whoa. No need for that, ladies. The man said, waving his hands in front himself. Who are you? Sol snarled while channeling her magic. Me? I'm just your friendly neighborhood peeping Tom. Who are you? Rysaka. Yes, Sol. Prepare to get someone with healing magic. Right away. Smiling at the two of them, Rysaka was about to leave the room, but before she could, Grim shot a stream of fire out of his hand and towards her. Sorry beautiful, but I'm afraid that more than 2 women is a bit too much for me to handle at the moment. Humph. Activating a spell from her grimoire, a stream of water shot out of her hand and extinguished the flames. HOH. A water mage, unexpected by very welcomed. Smiling, Grim got up and looked at the damp ground and started nodding before looking back up at Rysaka. You know, I've never had a girl squirt this much for me. Hearing him, Rysaka's face suddenly went dark. Solution. She called in a dark voice that made Sol feel nervous. Yes. Forget the healer, they'll be useless by the time I'm done with him. Oh wow. Grim exclaimed. I didn't think you'd be this into this threesome. Shut up. Rysaka screamed, losing her composure and shooting a high-pressured ball of water at him. Asterisk whoosh. Asterisk. Damn, took you long enough to attack. Positioning himself in front of the window, Grim spread his arms out wide and received the attack head-on. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Thrown back by the force of the spell, Grim's body shot through the open window and was sent sprawling towards the hard concrete. Did you get him? Sol asked. Of course. Rysaka pushed her chest out with pride. Hey! Grim's voice rang out from the outside. While I like swimming and all that, I'd prefer to be doused in a different kind of liquid if you catch my drift. He's alive. Impossible. Rysaka denied and ran towards the window. Yo! He waved when he saw both girls looking out the window. Seeing him standing there unharmed, Rysaka unintentionally growled. My turn. Sol grinned and hopped out of the window. Sol! Rysaka yelled. So it's the Earth Mage now. Thud. Landing with a dull thud, Sol walked towards Grim while stretching her arms. Since Sis isn't here at the moment, punishing you will be my job. I'm not a fan of BDSM, so I'ma have to turn you down in that regard. It wasn't a request. Wow, haven't you ever heard of no means no? Earth creation magic, divided Mother Earth. Summoning 4 giant earth golems, Sol had her puppets surround him. Now you want to make it gang bang? You've got some pretty extreme kinks. Ignoring him, Sol thrust her hands forward and ordered the golems to attack. Hat. Grim grinned when he saw the golem's fist growing larger in his eyes. I guess we're gonna play rough. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. As the fists crashed down on his figure, Grim managed to jump above them and plant his feet on one of the golem's arms. Running up the golem's arm, Grim charged from the wrist to the shoulder before launching himself into the air. While up there, he covered his fists in flames and fell toward Sol's figure. Sol! Rysaka screamed from the balcony. Earth magic, mud wall partition. Slamming her hands on the ground, a thick wall of mud ascended from the ground and bore the brunt of his attack. Crack! Hey! Asterisk bang! Asterisk. Bursting through the blockade, Grim continued to drop towards her. Sol run! Asterisk bang! Asterisk. Barely managing to jump out of the way in time, Grim's fist left a small crater in ground as sweat dripped from Sol's face. More! Show me more! Grim laughed, forgetting that he was meant to conceal his identity. Covering his other hand with fire magic as well, Grim charged towards Sol. Stay back, you pervert! Activating a spell from her grimoire, Rysaka shot a pressurized jet stream of water at Grim. Whoa! Seeing the attack, Grim didn't attempt to avoid it and let himself get pushed back. Rysaka! Sol turned to look at her. Using a spell that created a staircase of water under her, Rysaka quickly made her way down and joined Sol. Sorry for interrupting, but I couldn't let that pervert anywhere near you. Who knows what he would have done if given the opportunity? Kahihihi. A weird laughter erupted from the distance. Finally deciding to join in at? Getting jealous. You scoundrel! How dare you utter such absurd statements? Yet. Soul agreed. Now that the two of us are together, there's no way you'll beat us. Is that so? Feeling the movement of ki and mana from inside the building, Grim realized that they were being too loud and had most likely been heard by the others. Fuck, they haven't hit me enough yet. That sounded more masochistic than I would have liked. Realizing that his time was quickly running out, Grim needed them to hit him with stronger spells. I should target their pride and anger them. You think that the two of you stand a chance? You know, since you're girls and all that, I'll take it easy on you and fight with one hand behind my back. What? Seeing him look down on them and put his left hand behind his back, the two girls felt like he was underestimating them. Why you? What? Don't tell me that you want me to put my other hand behind my back too? I mean, it wouldn't really make a difference, but I guess it's good to make you guys feel like you could do something. Feeling their rage start to bubble up, Grim watched in joy as their grimoires started glowing brighter. Ooh, a big spell is coming. They just need a little push. Is Charlotte in? I have a bet going on with another pervert that I'll be able to fuck her into submission, so any news regarding her whereabouts would be much appreciated. Die. Unleashing the strongest spells in their grimoires, Grim underestimated the power in their attack and sneakily switched to Breath of the Beast. Sigh, I really need to find a better way to get new breath styles. Huff huff. Breathing heavy, both Rysaka and Soul found themselves sitting down as they had just used up a ton of mana in that final spell. We did. Yet. Soul nodded, looking pleased with herself. Hey! Members of the Blue Rose came running out after hearing the commotion. What's going on? They asked after seeing Soul and Rysaka covered in sweat and sitting on the courtyard grounds. Barely managing to catch their breaths, the two of them explained the situation and pointed to the area the spell had hit Grim. A masked man in black. One of them asked after going over to the destroyed area. Yet, he was wearing a black mask as well. Crouching down, the woman picked up a piece of black cloth and returned to the others. This was all I found. Impossible. Rysaka rejected. Even the captain wouldn't be able to walk off that attack, let alone some random pervert. Fuck. Sitting down in a location not too far from the Blue Rose base, a bloodied Grim sat with his back against a rocky wall as he focused on breathing and controlling his pain. Right now every inch of his body was screaming out in pain and begging for him to rest. Gritting his teeth, he discarded his black robes and changed into the clothes he had stashed away before attacking the base. If not for Breath of the Beast and his enhanced evasion ability granted to him by the transparent world, Grim doubted that he would have been able to completely avoid the attack while also taking enough damage to achieve his goal. Ha! I know I asked for it and everything, but, if I ever get the chance, I'm gonna go back and kick their asses. Grinning to himself, he looked at his shining grimoire. Breath of Stone. Breath of Water. Chapter 56, Trance. Breathing heavily, Grim flicked through his grimoire. Let's see what starting spells I've got. Breath of Water, third form, Flowing Dance. Starting with another third form, Hui, reminds me of Breath of Thunder. Holding back his urge to groan, he pushed himself up onto his feet. Crack. SSSSSS. Popping his shoulder back into its socket, Grim seethed in pain and walked over to his broom. Based on my estimation, if I rest properly, I should heal up nicely within the next couple of days, but that'd mean I wouldn't have time to practice this new style. But it would mean that I could focus on practicing my mana control. Climbing on top of his broom, Grim started levitating while thinking about the pros and cons of practicing mana control rather than this new style. Sighing to himself, he took to the air and flew back in the direction of the Black Bull's base. While it would have easier to fight them as himself, Grim didn't like the fact that the secret behind the ways he gains new styles would be exposed. Fighting as the masked pervert was way easier as it allowed him to have fun with them while also getting what he wanted. Besides, it would take too long to officiate an official match anyway. I wonder how things are going with the others. Seabed Temple. Seriously. We're definitely screwed. Feeling the intense mana radiating off the three-eyed figure, Finral felt like he and the rest of the Black Bulls were ants facing off against a giant. Sweating at the sight of Veto, Finral regretted the fact that he couldn't die in the arms of a beautiful woman. You think you three can stop me? Ah ha ha ah ha ha ha. I'll crush you like the insects that you are. Sighing to himself, Finral took a step forward until he was standing shoulder to shoulder with Vanessa and Asta. Oh? Didn't think you'd make it. Vanessa laughed. You really don't have faith in me, do you? Instead of answering, Vanessa smiled and turned to look at Noelle and the unconscious members of the Black Bulls. You have enough mana to protect the others, right? Nods. I'll leave them to you then. Not to mention this guy's mana, even his attacks are overpowered, if any of get hit by them it'll be lights out. Fighting a guy like this really makes me want to cry. Finral sighed. If we win this, I'll hug you and let you cry on my shoulder. Seriously? Finral said, fired up. Switching from playful to serious, Vanessa took a proper look at the three-eyed Veto. Normal magic attacks aren't gonna work on this guy, we're gonna have to rely on your anti-magic Asta, think you can handle it? Flash back to him and Grim on the roof. Flash back to him and as kids. Yet. He nodded. I told both of them to watch as I become Wizard King. I'm not about to let this guy make a liar out of me. Asta. Seeing the look of determination in his eyes, Vanessa smiled gently. Focus on hitting him, we'll make sure that you won't die, right Finral? Yet. Finral nodded, looking uncharacteristically serious. Sounds of breathing. Sitting cross-legged on his bed, Grim took in a deep breath and focused on controlling the massive quantity of mana in his body. After debating with himself during the journey back to the base, he finally settled on practicing mana control. While increasing his combat ability, Breath of Water would have been good, the thought of him being unable to fight someone like Licht because he couldn't hit him deterred him. Sigh, this isn't working. Maybe if I focus on an element that allows for such an ability, then I might gain some inspiration. Breath of Wind. Letting the green glow surround him, Grim focused on the attributes that this element granted him. Weightless, formless, ever-changing. Focusing on the element of wind, Grim's attention slowly started slipping as he found himself entering a trance. Flexible, invisible, and everywhere. Kind of like mana. Lost in this trance, Grim didn't notice how the mana around him was starting to surround and embrace him. Brushing across his body, the objects in his room started to shake and levitate. Mana is everywhere. Mana is love. Mana is life. Breathing lightly to the point that it seemed like had stopped, Grim's body started sucking in the surrounding mana and releasing it. It is said that those born with an abundance of mana are chosen and loved by mana. A person with a lot of mana can do a lot of things. Entering his body, the surrounding mana started nourishing him and fixing the previous injuries he had sustained. Breathing calmly, a serene look appeared on Grim's face. Coming into contact with the mana, the blood in Grim's body started rustling as a faint glow surrounded it before disappearing. Demon slaying magic, total concentration constant. Floating in front of him, new words appeared on the first page of the grimoire. Releasing a breath. Slowly opening his eyes, Grim felt like he was renewed. The previous pain he felt from getting hit by Soul and Rysaka's attacks could barely be felt. Even his breathing was weirdly stable. Noticing his floating grimoire, Grim raised an eyebrow and looked at the new shining page. Demon slaying magic, total concentration constant. Reading the words on the page, a flurry of new information flooded into his brain as various panels from the Demon Slayer appeared in his head. Breathing heavily from the tax that the new information put on his brain, Grim looked at his grimoire in surprise. Did I achieve it already? Total concentration constant was a passive ability in which the user of demon slaying magic could keep a single breath style active at all times without it interfering with the others. This effectively meant that he could use one of the passive abilities granted to him by a specific style as a base. While he wouldn't be able to use the swords while having another breath style active, the enhancement that the base style grants him wouldn't disappear. Now he just had to think about which breath style to use as his base. Chapter 57, Graceful. Whoa! What the fuck happened to your arms? And you? Who are you? Seeing the Black Bulls return back from the seabed temple, Grim was shocked to see a shy-looking blue-haired girl arriving with them and Asta's arms in bandages. Grim! Everyone exclaimed when they walked in. You're awake. So that's what happened. Sitting at the table with the others, they explained everything that happened during the mission. They described how they fought that Veto, how Noelle finally managed to use an attack spell, how Asta, Vanessa and Finral triple-teamed him and how Yami surpassed his limits and one-shot the dude. Listening them, Grim was astonished by the tale and was envious that he wasn't able to crush some strong people. But what interested him the most from their story was the fact that Luck and Magna teamed up and used Union Magic. Union Magic, hey! Looking at the two of them, Grim tried to imagine the power of the spell but was distracted by the new girl. Apparently she was that creepy-looking member of the Black Bulls that could use transformation magic. The next thing on his mind was Yami's spell Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. Thinking about how Yami struggled to fight that Veto guy back when they were in that cave, he was honestly shocked that Yami was capable of one-shotting him. If they told him that it had taken a couple of hits to beat him, then that wouldn't be too hard to believe. After all, Grim had surpassed his limits several times and still wasn't able to one-shot his enemies. Sigh, I've still got a ways to go. Closing his eyes, Grim thought back to his decision. Total concentration constant, beast. While having Breath of Wind as his base would have increased his agility and attack speed, Breath of the Beast was the style he was most familiar with, and he felt that enhancing his physique and natural senses were more beneficial in the long run. Not to mention that since his physique would be enhanced at all times, his sword swings would be many times stronger as a result. Now that he had completed his objective with the Blue Rose Squad, he wanted to focus his attention on raising his mana control abilities. Looking at Asta, who had broken his arms but was still able to look forward, Grim had a feeling that this experience had actually strengthened him and that the gap between would be closing soon. In fact, if it wasn't for them being tired and Asta being unable to use his swords, he would have challenged him, Luck and Magna, to a battle. Walking into the room, Yami looked over everyone until his sight landed on Charmy. Oi Charmy, I'm going to report to the Wizard King, hurry up and bring the captives. Apparently Charmy had a pretty powerful binding spell that shrunk her enemies and trapped them in cotton balls the size of a fist. Will there be any tasty food? No. He shot her down before looking at Finral. Bring us there with your magic. Will there be any pretty girls? No. Can I come too? Asta asked, jumping to his feet. Well, I guess you were a part of the mission, so sure. Hell yeah. He cheered. We might as well go and visit that doctor while we're there and get those arms of yours fixed. Seriously. Ignoring him, Yami turned to look at Grim. You gonna be okay by yourself? By myself. Looking around the room, Grim realized that everyone was fast asleep. I guess that underwater place really took it out of them. I'll be fine. He nodded and watched as they disappeared through Finral's portal. HYHH. Standing up and stretching, Grim looked at his unconscious squad mates before shaking his head and heading to the courtyard. Covered in sweat and with hurried breathing, Grim stood topless in the courtyard holding onto an unfamiliar blue blade with a red hexagonal handguard. Grim, it's not that difficult. After choosing Breath of the Beast as his base, Grim had noticed that any physical action he did had been enhanced. Even his walking speed had been increased. Realizing that this could be a problem in the short run, he quickly started training in order to adapt to his body's new changes. Deep breath. Breath of water, third form, flowing dance. Originally supposed to be a movement type spell that would have the user move in a similar fashion to a serene water flow, with the Breath of the Beast boost added on, Grim's movements were more forceful and resembled a pressurized water flow rather than a calm one. Performing the movements again, an ethereal stream of water followed behind him while a blue aura clung to his body. Wow! Watching from the window, Noelle and the others found themselves entranced by his dance. It's like flowing water. Vanessa muttered, unable to turn away. I need to stop being so aggressive and straightforward with my movements and become more fluid and versatile. Controlling his breathing, Grim's dance slowed down, but the stream behind him suddenly became more defined in appearance. Is it just me, or is he getting better? Magna asked. You think so too? Noelle cocked her head. Each movement needs to naturally flow into the next. Taking another step forward, Grim's blade started radiating a blue light as water started manifesting around it and started resonating with Grim's movements. It's beautiful. Like all living beings, water can change phases. Sometimes it can be calm as a lake and sometimes it can be as vicious as a raging ocean. With the physical boost given to me by Breath of the Beast, I need to find the right balance between these two if I wish to use this spell effectively. As if affected by his thoughts, Grim's movements changed repeatedly but somehow still contained an element of grace and beauty. Awed by such movements, the rest of the Black Bull members watched in silence as Grim slowly brought his dance to an end. Amazing! Luck whispered as his eyes were fixated on Grim's slowing figure. Creator's thoughts. Errata. LOL, Luck shocked by something that's not fighting. And yet, I went with Breath of the Beast for his base. I mean, it's the one he uses the most and the one that would have the best background effects. Once he manages to fully adapt to it, his other spells will be much stronger. Chapter 58, Party. You brat! Magna laughed, wrapping his arm around Grim's shoulder. Learning a new magic while we were getting our butts kicked by that Veto guy at. After finishing his dance and having his senses return to normal, Grim felt the key of his squad mates being much closer than they were when he left. Turning his head, he saw all of them watching him from the window. Not too long after that, Yami came back with a huge sack filled with food and alcohol. Due to them saving the seabed temple and retrieving the magic stone there, Yami decided to throw a party. He also revealed that they no longer had any black stars, negative stars, and now were actually able to compete with the other squads. Sitting by himself and watching everyone dance and enjoy themselves, Grim couldn't help but smile. Not bad for a squad that you didn't want to join, hey? Yami. Turning his head to look at the large muscled foreigner, Grim fell silent before nodding. Wanna play? He asked, showing Grim a deck of cards. Sure. So what happened at Kaidan? Grim asked while looking at his cards. You heard about that? Not too long ago, all the squads were alerted that 3 of the 8 shining generals from the Diamond Kingdom were attacking the border town of Kaidan. Since they were too far, Grim and the Black Bulls had no choice but to stay on standby and wait for instructions. But not too long later, they received a message from Finral telling them that Yami and the others had gone to assist the Golden Dawn in dealing with the invaders. You know that kid, right? You know. Yeah. He nodded. Smiling at his cards, Yami continued. Well, it seems like that guy's gotten pretty powerful. How powerful? Grim frowned. Strong enough to beat a shining general. Beat a shining general? Shining generals are the Diamond Kingdom's version of magic knight captains. I guess I underestimated the growth of someone with a 4-leaf grimoire. Anyway, forget about that. Yami said, placing a card down. Why don't you tell me what you're doing with your mana? You noticed. With as much mana as yours, it'd be hard not to. And here I thought I was being sneaky. Sai, do you remember you saying that guys with mana could do all sorts of things? Did I say that? Yes. It was on the day I passed out, remember? Rubbing his chin, Yami thought back. Seriously? It was like a week ago. Doesn't really sound like something I would say. But what does that have to do with what you're doing? Let's just say I'm putting your little theory to the test. You trying to learn healing? What? No. What's with you and healing? Wait a second. How does he remember that specific part but not the conversation itself? Pausing for a minute, Yami looked at him like he was looking at an idiot. I thought a battle maniac like you would love the ability to heal yourself so you could keep fighting. Battle maniac? I'm in. You are. Yami cut him off. I don't know if you've realized it yet, but you really seem to enjoy fighting. What? No, I just like stepping on people weaker than me. I'm not saying you don't. Then. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the process either, they're not mutually exclusive, you can enjoy one thing and enjoy another just as much. Don't sweat it, kid. He comforted while taking a swig out of his bottle. So what if you enjoy fighting? Luck's the same, at least you have a goal at the end of it. Luck just wants to fight forever. My goal? Don't tell me you've forgotten? You said you wanted to be the strongest, right? To look down on everyone else and do whatever the fuck you like with no one being able to stop you. Falling silent, Grim thought back to his time in this world. So much had happened in these past 5 years. From living in a forest to working in a restaurant and then becoming a protector of the kingdom. From all the people he's met to all the foes he's fought. It really was a wild ride. If someone ever made a book on his life, he was sure it'd sell well. Why are you so nice to me? He looked at his captain. While Yami was nice in his own way, the way he treated Grim was different to everyone else. He could even say that there were subtle differences in the way he treated him and Asta. Illuminated by the nearby firelight, Yami's expression was hard to read. Sitting in silence for a minute, he closed his eyes slightly before answering. I guess you just remind me of home. Hearing a flapping noise, Grim looked up to see Nero flying around his head before eventually resting on his shoulder. Home. I wonder if you miss your home. As if reading his thoughts, the bird looked at him with a neutral expression before turning away. Now I'm curious if there's a talk to animals type magic out there. Hey guys! Asta suddenly said, drawing everyone's attention. Asta. I'm a bit tired, I'm gonna head to bed. Already? See you guys tomorrow. He waved. Watching him leave, Noelle suddenly said something worrying. Don't you think Asta's been acting a bit strangely? Magna hummed. Now that you mention it, it is kinda weird that he's going to bed, that guy never gets tired. Yet. True. It is weird. Nodding and confirming each other's thoughts. Finral looked at everyone before deciding to speak up. I think I know why. Grabbing everyone's attention, the Black Bulls all turned to look at him. I overheard him and the doctor today when they were fixing his arms. The doctor. He said Asta's arms could never be returned to normal. What? You're kidding, right? Apparently, that Veto guy hit him with an ancient curse and now his arms are. Hearing him, everyone's previous joyful faces fell. So what? Grim suddenly said, surprising everyone. What? We know that he's being afflicted by a curse, right? Then all we need to do is figure out how to reverse it. It's not that EAS. It's better than sitting on our asses and moping about. Do you think Asta would really want that? We're the Black Bulls, right? The worst squad in history. Nobody would have thought that we'd able to get that magic stone or recover from our negative star counter. They probably said some shit like it'd be impossible for us. But we did it, didn't we? Hearing him, people started nodding. So what if it's a curse or an illness? If we actually try, I'm sure we'll be able to find a way to fix it. He's right. Magna suddenly said. We're the Black Bulls, y'all. If we actually try, then who could stop us? Yet. We can beat this. Asta wouldn't want us to mope. Let's do this. Yet. Let's kick that curse's ass. Chapter 59, Breakfast. Waking up to the light of the sun shining on his face, Grim yawned loudly before forcing his way out of bed. Aik. He yawned before putting some shorts on and walking downstairs bare-chested. Morning. He nodded after seeing Yami sitting on the sofa reading a newspaper. After yesterday's party, Noel and the others had started looking for various ways in which they could lift Asta's curse. Grim on the other hand focused solely on practicing his mana control as he could himself, getting better with each passing day. While he wanted to help with Asta's situation, he felt like he was so close to achieving his goal and that any distractions could ruin it. Sighing to himself, he made a quick breakfast before eventually making his way to the dining room and sitting down. Compared to yesterday, he felt like his body had adapted quite nicely to the physical enhancements of Breath of the Beast. He could probably even do his normal amount of push-ups without breaking a sweat. Chuckling to himself, he enjoyed his breakfast while thinking back on his time with the Black Bulls. Reminiscing on the past, he remembered the time that a bunch of Diamond Kingdom assassins accidentally attacked the Black Bulls base in search of some guy called Fanzel Kruger. Since this event took place shortly after Grim had learnt unknowing fire from the whole dungeon excavation mission, he was busy training himself far away from the base at that specific point in time. According to Noel, this Fanzel Kruger was the guy who taught Asta how to use his sword and happened to defect from the Diamond Kingdom with his fiancée. Thinking about it now, it was actually quite a shame that he was training far away from the base, as he could have used those assassins to practice his new spell on. That being said, he didn't regret it. If not for him training by himself, it probably would have taken longer for him to get a proper feel of the spell. Sighing to himself, he thought back on the information Finral gave him yesterday after the party. Apparently after he passed out in the cave, that Licked Guy and the Third Eye members fought the captains while also trying to take Asta's grimoire away from him. But what really concerned Grim was the fact that they said that Asta's grimoire didn't belong to him and that they called his sword Demon Slayer. Consider what his magic was, he felt that it was pretty weird that the sword had the same name. Just as he was about to continue eating, he felt Finral's mana signature pop up from outside. Did you get everyone to their destinations? Noelle asked once she saw Finral exit one of his portals. Of course. He said smugly. Got Luck and Magna to that weird sand dungeon outside the kingdom, sent Charmy and Grey to some strange forest and transported Gauche and Gordon to the library so they could read up on ancient curses. Good, everyone's where they need to be. But what about Grim and Vanessa? Neither of them have come to me for transport. And why are we being so secretive about this? Wouldn't it be better to tell Asta? No. She shook her head. If Asta knew what we were doing, he'd just worry about us and tell us that he was fine. As for Grim and Vanessa, I know that Grim said that he was staying here because he had something to do, but I think that's just an excuse to not leave Asta here by himself. You think Grim would do that? Finral asked with doubt. Yeah, he might not show it, but he really cares about his friends. Remembering back to that time that Grim ruthlessly defeated Mars after she was injured, Noel felt his heart flutter. You okay? What? Snapping out of it, Noel looked at him with confusion. Your face is red, are you feeling sick or something? Do you want me to take you to a doctor? I am fine. It's just a bit hot out here. You sure? Because it looks like. Focus. Ahem. Clearing her throat, she continued. As for Vanessa, no one's seen her all day. Oh. Now I can feel Asta's key nearby. Continuing to eat his breakfast while simultaneously practicing mana control, Grim was surprised to see Asta come and sit in front of him. Seeing that neither one of them was gonna say anything, Grim took it upon himself to start the conversation. Do you want some breakfast? No thanks. I just wanted to say that I'm happy to have you as my friend. Right. Weird. Fuck. Now he's just staring at me. Hey Grim. Thank God he said something. That silence was way too awkward. He raised his head. You've changed. What? Ever since the cave fight, you've been different. I have. That's news to me. Yet. He nodded. You seem more like you know. You know. You mean I'm calmer? Yet. That's it. I can't deny that. After entering the transparent world and almost frying my brain, I do seem to be a bit different. Is that bad? He asked. Nope, just thought I should tell you. Thanks. Hee, no problem. He grinned before continuing. Wanna work out? Work out? You do know both your arms are broken, right? He raised an eyebrow. Of course. That's why we'll make it a legs-only workout. If I push myself hard enough, I'm sure I'll not only be able to fight better than before, but I'll also grow a bit as well. You mean leg day? Leg day? That's such a cool name. Did you come up with it? Sure. Cool. Let's go. Getting up, Asta raced through the door and signaled for Grim to follow. Sigh, at least I can still practice while exercising. Smiling to himself, Grim got up and followed Asta to the courtyard. Creator's thoughts. Errata. Weird week, I wanna write more but Ghost of Tsushima is pulling at me. Honestly tempted to go on a short hiatus so I can play, but I know that you guys are looking forward to these chapters, especially this arc, and I don't really want to disappoint. Chapter 60, Witch's Forest. And then he said dark cloak dimension / and split that Veto guy in two. I get that part, Asta, but what did the attack actually look like? Grim asked while doing a sit-up. I couldn't see it. Asta proclaimed while performing a squat. You just said it split that dude in two, right? How could you not see an attack that does that? It was invisible. Invisible? Like you couldn't see it all. Yep. An attack that you can't see that also cuts through dimensions. How am I supposed to deal with that? Since his dream was to be the strongest mage in this world, it was imperative to Grim that he understands the capabilities of those he needed to surpass. Could you at least sense his ki during the attack? Chuckling to himself, Asta started doing squats at breakneck speed. I was too caught up in what had happened to notice. Of course. Returning back to training, the two boys talked about all sorts of nonsense to pass the time. Somewhere along the lines, the conversation turned to the existence of Henry. Hearing that Grim actually met him was a surprise to Asta, but that quickly turned into excitement. Talking to Grim like this made Asta forget about the whole situation with his arms and had him smiling like the goofball that he was. For the boy born with no magic to be friends with the one born with an abundance of it, the two got on extremely well. While Asta saw Grim as another rival alongside Yuno and Leopold, he appreciated his time that he and Grim spent together just chilling. So that glow around your body protects you from attacks that are the same element? Asta asked after asking him about the glow around Grim's body. Rather than protect me, it give me a certain amount of resistance. Cool. I wish I had awesome magic like that. Are you kidding me? Anti-magic is way cooler. Just think about it, you can literally destroy all types of magic you come across. Yeah, but you can use fire, wind, water, and other types of magic. Just remembering it makes me so jealous. You can absorb, reflect, annihilate magic. Most mages can't do shit to you. Magic. Anti-magic. While the two were stuck in a deep-seated debate over what was cooler, anti-magic vs demon-slaying magic, they didn't notice the 5 people standing a bit away from them. So that's Grim? Fanzel asked Noelle. Yep. She nodded. Not bad. He nodded as he looked Grim up and down. He really has the presence of a swordsman. You grumbling teacher. Mariella pointed out. Ahaha, am I? He scratched the back of his head and laughed lightly. Sigh, your habit of wanting to teach others is showing again, honey. Domina sighed. Hehe, I'm afraid I might not be able to handle this one. It's not like you to give up so quickly, teacher. Mariella frowned and looked at him. I know, but I can tell that a guy like him couldn't accept being taught by a guy like me. What do you mean? Noelle asked. Looking at the smiles on Grimm's and Asta's faces despite the two arguing with each other, Fanzel couldn't help but smile too. He's made a good friend. Hey Asta! He suddenly called and walked over. Hey wait! You didn't answer my question. Noelle yelled and ran after him. Zell! Asta exclaimed when he saw him. Zell! Looking at the red-haired man walking over, Grimm searched his memories for the name. Yo Asta! Fanzel smiled and waved. What are you doing here? Asta stopped squatting and asked. No time to explain. Activating his wind magic, Fanzel created a bird made of earth under his feet and used his magic to push Asta on top of it. EHHH. Watching Asta get kidnapped, Grimm turned to look at Noelle and Finral and cocked his head. We're gonna go fix Asta's arms. Noelle whispered. Oh? But why are you kidnapping him? Because he'd try to stop us if he knew where we were going. Is it dangerous? Grimm asked with a weird glint in his eyes. Apparently. Without saying another word, Grimm jumped onto the windbird with Asta and Fanzel. What are you waiting for? He asked with an excited tone. Let's get going. Wait. You're coming. Noelle said, not expecting this to happen. Of course. If you guys go, then I'll have nothing better to do. Oh. Looking at Fanzel, she saw him shrug. Let's get going then. You're the guy who taught Asta how to use a sword, right? Now that they had taken to the skies, Grimm wanted to pry as much information out of his new companions as he could. I just taught him the basics, I'm pretty sure he's already stronger than me. Fanzel laughed. What are you talking, teacher? There's no way that he would be stronger than you in this short amount of time. Mariella argued. I don't know about that. Fanzel smiled as he looked at Asta. You've been through a lot since we've last met, haven't you, Asta? Yet. Asta nodded seriously. Smiling at his response. Fanzel looked into the distance. Where are we going anyway? Grimm abruptly asked after realizing that he didn't actually know their destination. We're going to the witch's forest. Domina answered. The witch's forest? Isn't that over there? Grimm pointed to a specific spot in the distance. You know it? Domina asked with a bit of surprise. Yet. He nodded. I lived in this forest for a bit of time, so I'm a bit familiar with the area. Wait. This is the place where you woke up. Noelle butted in. Yet, well, technically it's over there. He pointed. Wait. What's going on? Domina asked, confused about what they were talking about. After a quick explanation about his amnesia and his previous living situation, Domina and Fanzel were in shock. Aren't there magic beasts living in these forests? Fanzel gasped. Yeah, almost ate me a couple of times. Grimm laughed, recalling a specific memory. You said that you knew the location of the witch's forest. How is it possible that you got past the Witch Queen's senses? The Witch Queen's senses? Grimm looked confused. You mean you don't know? Domina covered her mouth in shock before explaining. The Witch Queen's magic covers the entire forest. If you truly lived here for 2 years, then there's no way she wouldn't know about it. You keep mentioning this Witch Queen person, but I have no idea who you're talking about. So what you're saying is, she's a powerful mage that detests men and created a kingdom filled with nothing but women that she can rule over. Grimm said after hearing Domina's explanation. Yes. Doesn't sound too scary, just your average over-the-top man-hating lesbian if you ask me. What's with those looks? You're looking at me as if I said anything wrong. Sigh, you might actually be right. Domina sighed, remembering that both she and Vanessa left because of a guy. It wouldn't be the first time. Anyway, you said that she's strong, right? Yeah. Then what are we still doing here? Let's go dethrone a bitch. He cheered with excitement. Excuse me. Domina frowned. Didn't you hear a thing I just said? Don't care. Grimm answered plainly. All I need to know is that she's strong and that by crushing her it'll prove I'm stronger. Grimm, deep breath. I don't think you're hearing my words. The Witch Queen will kill you. Nat, even if I'm not able to beat her with my magic, as long as I strip naked and wave my thing in her face, she'll be force her to retreat, and retreating means giving up, and giving up means losing, and losing means I win. Ignore him. Noelle said, flying over to Domina's side. Anyway, how far are we? We're here. Creator's thoughts. Errata. Wrote this chapter very quickly, sorry if there's any mistakes, but Ghost of Tsushima is calling again. God, I love this game. Oh. And did you guys know some random politician in Florida who's running for Congress thinks Dragon Ball Z is too lewd? LOL, Florida sounds like a fun place. Chapter 61, Witch Queen. Wow. Looking at the magnificent sight before them, Noelle and the others were at a loss for words as the sheer sight of the forest blew them away. Welcome to the Witch's Forest. Domina introduced them. It's amazing. Finral muttered, thinking about the vast amount of girls inside. You know, now that I have fire magic, I have this weird desire to set this place ablaze. Grim said while looking at the trees. Grim. Noelle turned to him, obviously displeased with what he said. What? I've never started a forest fire before. That doesn't mean you should. Sigh, listen, Noelle. Grim said, placing his hand on her shoulder and looking into her eyes. If you had fire magic like me, you'd understand where I'm coming from. But since you don't, I don't think you have a right to tell me what I can and can't burn. What about Domina? That's her home. A home is a place that you're allowed to come back to. According to her own words, witches that have left the witch's forest aren't allowed back. Therefore her opinion has as much relevance to me as yours. Grr. Clenching her teeth together tightly, Noelle was about to blow a fuse. Guys. Domina called. We have to focus. Don't forget why we're here. She motioned to Asta. Right, I'll burn this place down after we've done that. Grim nodded. Anyway. Domina continued. From this point onward we have to be really careful. Since the Witch Queen can sense magic in her territory, we'll be using these invisibility cloaks to sneak in. Invisibility cloak. Finral raised an eyebrow before inching closer to Domina. When you say invisible, how undetectable are we? Het. I'm glad you asked. These cloaks of mine have the ability to not only conceal your body, they're also strong enough to mask your magic and presence from someone as powerful as the Witch Queen. Yeah, but hypothetically speaking, if someone were to use this to sneak in a place that, let's say, they would normally be prohibited from entering, would they still get noticed? Of course not. Domina stuck her chest out proudly. My cloak is the perfect presence inhibitor tool. Cool. So it even works in an extremely steamy environment. I haven't tried it yet, but it should be capable of doing that. Right. Finral started mumbling to himself before speaking again. So how much would it cost to procure one these cloaks? I'm asking for a friend. Before she could answer, Grim barged into their conversation. Is it for Gauche? Because I know he's been trying to find ways to spy on his sister lately. What? Why the hell would I get it for that sister-loving freak when I could use it to spy on Van? Realizing that he had said too much, Finral coughed loudly before trying to cover it up. Van Vanilla Waterfalls. Vanilla Waterfalls. Everyone turned to look at him. Yet. He nodded and started to sweat profusely. Legend says that whoever finds it can get a new type of magic. Really? Asta asked, jumping up from his position. Why yet? Whoa. Maybe if I find it I'll finally be able to use magic. Seeing that things were starting to get out of hand, Domina called everyone's attention before explaining the plan. Unfortunately I only have 2 cloaks on me at the moment, so we'll need to share. Is it big enough? We'll manage. Now then, let's go. Flying through the insides of the witch's forest, Finral and the rest marveled at the sights of so many witches. Grim on the other hand had one question in his head: why do they like wearing pointed hats so much? Hey, what's that? Noelle asked, pointing to a cute-looking floating earth model. Domina said before looking in the direction she was pointing at. That's one of the forest's security golem. They're small but annoying to deal with in groups. So whatever you do, don't draw attention to yours. Beep, 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 beep. Having just heard Domina's explanation, Grim's group flew past another tree and accidentally caught the cloak on a branch, causing both the cloak and Fanzel's clothes to, somehow, get pulled off, alerting the golem, which in turn called its little buddies. Oh, for fuck's sake! Ah! Evade! Evade! God damn it, fanzel! Everyone screamed as an army of security golems swarmed them while firing deadly lasers. Intruders! We have intruders! One of the witches screamed after seeing getting chased. Men! Men have infiltrated the witches' forest. Damn it! We're gonna have to force our way in. Domina yelled. Keep flying, everyone! Using his magic to help with evasion, Finral provided support by spamming open portals. TCH. Switching to Breath of Flames, Grim held his hands up high and started firing off Rengokus and left the flying to the others. Hell yeah, Grim! Asta cheered. Don't distract me! He yelled back and focused on defending. Damn it! Doing this without my swords is way weaker. There! Domina yelled. Aim for that hole in the wall. Hole in the wall. Not having enough time to answer, Grim turned around only to be greeted to the sight of him and others about to crash into an unfamiliar floor. Ugh! Nice flying, Finral! Grim grumbled while dusting himself off. That hurt! Asta groaned. Ouch! No need to pinch me, Domina! Fanzel yelped. Getting up off the floor, Grim wanted to look around the room and figure out where they were. Unfortunately, something in particular caught his eye. Standing mere feet away from them, a pink-haired woman in an ugly green outside stood before them with her heel pressed down on the head of an unconscious Vanessa. Vanessa! Asta and Noelle yelled. Hey you! Asta called the woman's attention. I don't care who you are, but you better get your foot off Vanessa right now. Don't know who I am. The woman slowly turned her head to look at them. You break into my forest and then have the audacity to say you don't even know the person who rules over it. You truly are imperfect beings. Domina, is that? Yeah. Domina nodded, cutting Noelle off. That's the mother of all witches, the Witch Queen. Putting a name to a face, the group of Clover Kingdom mages shook as they realized just who they were facing. The Witch Queen et. Grim's voice rang out as he took a step forward. Grim! Noelle said with concern after seeing the look on his face. A queen's royalty, right? Taking another step closer to the queen, an orange glow surrounded Grim's body and everyone felt the temperature around him rise. Allow me to show you my disrespect. He grinned before releasing a powerful wave of mana. Creator's thoughts. Errata errata. LOL, Grim meeting royalty again. I wonder how that'll go down. Chapter 62, Invasion. Shining brightly, Grim dug his feet into the ground before using his magic to explode the area between his solace and the ground to shoot forward. Finral! He yelled. Hearing him, Finral's grimoire flashed into sight as a portal appeared in front of Grim. HOH! The Witch Queen raised a brow. Unknowing fire. Bursting out from behind her with a glowing blade in his hand, Grim swiped the sword at her neck, aiming to beat her in one fell swoop. Swoosh! Slashing at her, Grim and everyone was shocked to see the Witch Queen disappear into a flock of crows. Grim! Noelle yelled once she saw the crows gather above him to form the Witch Queen. Raising her hand high in the air, the Witch Queen's grimoire glowed as a blood-red weapon manifested in her hands. Blood creation magic, life-blood scythe. Looking down at the young boy, no emotion could be seen on the Witch Queen's face as she unhesitatingly slashed down. Grim! Everyone screamed. Hat! Grim looked up and grinned. What? Breath of water, flowing dance. With the breath of the beast base enhancing his natural senses and combined with his ability to use ki and enter the transparent world, Grim used his new spell to twist his body in an uncomfortable way and barely avoid the blow. Cling! Watching the tip of the scythe cut through the ground, Grim grinned at the fact that he had managed to evade the attack before his body started shining a bright yellow color as the thunder sword manifested itself into his hand. Due to his increased degree of mana control, Grim compressed the power of his next attack as he jumped towards the Witch Queen and unleashed the full might of thunder. Dodge this, you royal bitch! Breath of Thunder, third form, Thunder Swarm. Knowing the speed at which that attack would move at, Grim was confident in this move as he had already jumped and closed the distance between the two of them. After facing off against Licht in that cave, Grim knew that he was far from being the strongest and that if he was gonna number one, he needed to rely on strategy just as much as brute force. Hi! Unleashing the lightning-fast bolt magic, Grim watched as the attack was about to strike Queen. Watching the attack grow closer to her, the Witch Queen's expression stayed the same as her grimoire flipped to a different mage and a red cocoon surrounded her body, tanking the full brunt of the spell and causing the rise of a sudden dust cloud. TCH! Seeing this, Grim prepared to unleash another attack, but the moment he started circulating his mana, a feeling of dread washed over him as he instinctively jumped back to the others, picking up Vanessa on the way. HOH? To think you'd grow this far in such a short amount of time. As expected of someone with that blood. The Witch Queen's voice rung out amidst the dust cloud. That blood? Does she know? To not only get so close to me, but to also know when to retreat by sensing the slight fluctuations of mana. How beautiful! Once the dust cloud had settled, the scene in front of them caused the group to shake. I am possible. She. Standing within a perfectly unscathed blood cocoon, the queen revealed herself to the others completely unharmed and untouched. Damn it! I should have used Breath of the Beast to attack and cut through that cocoon. Just as the queen was about to speak further, something seemed to catch her attention as she looked away from Grimm's group and into the distance. They're here. Confused by the queen's words, everything became clear when two giant orbs showing different areas of the witch's forest appeared in front of them. It's the guys from the Eye of the Midnight Sun and the Diamond Kingdom. Noelle exclaimed. Yet. And there's that Mars guy. Asta noted. And that Fana girl. Grimm focused on the pink-haired girl riding a would-be dragon. Wait a second. Isn't that thing way bigger than it was before? Mars. Fanzel stuttered as he looked upon the face of his past student. Frowning slightly, the queen was about to raise her hand but was stopped by the next scene on the orb. Spirit magic, Salamander's breath. Opening its mouth wide, the magic entity known as Salamander formed a giant ball of fire magic in its mouth before aiming and firing it off into an unknown part of the forest. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Watching the explosion and hearing the screams from the orb, Grimm and the rest of them felt the tremor from here. Such power. Incredible. Its power is stronger than when it attacked Yami. While the others were watching the forest burn in horror, the Witch Queen herself was astonished by the sheer amount of power that an imperfect salamander was capable of wielding. Watching the sea of flames from the hole in the wall, Grimm couldn't help but lament the fact that someone had stolen his idea of starting a forest fire. That pink-haired bitch. Grimm. What are you doing here? Hey. Hearing his name being called, Grimm turned around in surprise to see a fully awakened Vanessa. Noticing the others as well, Vanessa couldn't hide her surprise. You guys are here too. Hey Vanessa. Domina waved. Guess we both had the same idea about fixing Asta's arms. Asta's arms? Oh shit, that right. Wait here Asta, I'll go talk to the queen about fixing you up. Hold up a sec Vanessa. Grimm suddenly stopped her and looked at Asta. How come you haven't tried using your anti-magic swords to remove the curse? Anti-magic? The queen's attention was caught. Oh right. Asta exclaimed as he pulled his demon dweller sword out with his teeth. That sword. Wait Asta stow. Arg. Asta screamed as he cut into his arms. You idiot. The curse has already sunk into the deepest parts of your arms. Vanessa berated. Sigh, guess that was a dud. Oi Queen of the Lesbos. Grimm called, making the Witch Queen frown but still turned to face him. Don't you think it's about time you stop standing around and heal my friend's arms? Why would I do such a thing? Simple. He smiled. Because right now your precious forest is under attack and you need all the allies you can get. And I promise you, if you heal Asta's arms, then not only will you have him fight to protect this shithole, you'll have all of us as well. Or you can reject my request and I'll go out and help burn this bitch to the ground. Hearing his request, the Witch Queen stood in silence as she stared down the black-haired young man. Fine. She relented. I'll heal that boy's arms and make them stronger than before. Yes. Everyone cheered. Raising her hand, she pointed at Asta and activated a weird spell that put Asta in a transparent cocoon of blood. I'll heal this boy for now, but once this is over, Vanessa, Grimm and that anti-magic boy will be mine. Creator's thoughts. Errata. I personally don't really care about a person's sexual preference, as long as it doesn't affect me or I have to see it, so for the minority of people out there who will read this and probably label me as a homophobe, just know that I don't really care, and if this is enough to trigger you, then I'm jealous of the easy life you must be living. Chapter 63, Mighty. Watching Asta being enveloped inside the blood cocoon, Grimm kept an eye on the Witch Queen and noticed that she seemed to be putting more effort into healing Asta's arms than she did their fight. Frowning at this realization, Grimm wanted to say something but chose to stay quiet as Asta's arms were the current priority. A/N, Grim choosing to focus on a friend rather than someone stronger than him. How shocking! Releasing him from the blood ball, Grim watched Asta slip out and pull his swords out from his grimoire. Hell yeah! I'm back! Asta! Everyone looked at him with relief. Took you long enough. Grim smiled as he soared Asta holding both swords. Unlike the others who were celebrating, the Witch Queen turned her attention to Grim and spoke in a low voice that only he could hear. I've completed my end of the bargain, now it's your turn. Yeah. He shooed her away. I'll help deal with these invaders, besides. There's a certain bitch that needs an ass whoppin'. Looking at the viewing orb, Grim's fists clenched as he looked at Fana. We only have 3 booms, we'll be too slow if we all go together. Domina said after realizing this fact. No problem. Grim said walking towards the huge hole in the wall. Grim. I'll see you guys there. Wah. Before they could finish asking what he meant, a green aura surrounded Grim's figure as green wind burst out from his body and sent flying into the distance. Hey, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Asta yelled, now hyped up over his newly healed arms. Getting on the broom with everyone else, the Witch Queen watched as they flew off to repel the invaders. But the only thing in her mind at the moment was Grim's figure as he left to go fight. Fire, water, lightning, and now wind. Ah ha 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 ha, come to me my beauties. A mage from the Eye of the Midnight Sun laughed as he used vine magic to capture a couple of witches. Ah! Let go! Stop! Help! Mine! Become mine! A/N, using vine magic on female opponents. I'ma leave that to your imaginations. Get the fuck out of my way, you damn weaklings! Hey! Hearing an unfamiliar voice enter the battlefield, the vine mage looked in the distance and saw a green tornado approaching him at an unprecedented speed. Humph! No magic shall get past him! Shut the fuck up! Blowing past him, Grim switched to Breath of the Beast and used crazy cutting to shred everything in his way, including the vines trapping the witches and the vine mage's throat, before using his body as a springboard to jump at the overwatching Fana. It's another man. We were saved by a man. You. Seeing him approaching, Fana recalled him from the cave. You're with the people who killed Veto, I'll kill you. Looking at him with those unblinking eyes, Fana's mana started to fluctuate. Spirit magic, Salamander's breath. Unleashing another ball of fire, Grim couldn't help but feel his heart accelerate as his infamous smile edged itself onto his face. I'm not the same as I was back then. Grinning at the descending attack, Grim's aura turned grey. Crazy cutting. Flying headfirst into the falling fireball, the rotating aura blades around his body increased as he started hacking away with the beast's swords. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Bursting through the newly formed dust cloud with a couple of scuff marks and a slightly burnt top, Grim's speed did not fall in the slightest as he continued shoot towards the salamander. You're gonna have to do better than that, you murder-loving psycho. I'll kill you! She shrieked as she and Salamander flew downwards intending to clash with him. Grim! Vanessa and the others screamed when they saw this. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Spirit magic, Salamander's claw. Breath of wind, dust whirlwind cutter. Evading the attack with wind magic, Grim managed to avoid the attack. Unfortunately, the trees below him weren't so lucky. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Watching the trees get torn apart, Vanessa and Finral thanked God that they weren't standing there. Go get her, Grim! Asta shouted from the distance as he dealt with his own opponents. Using his new in-air position that just happened to be to the left of Fana and the salamander, Grim used Dust Whirlwind Cutter again to launch himself at them. Not expecting him to be able to dodge, Fana and the salamander were caught off guard as Grim closed the distance between them and used his beast swords to deal 2 devastating sword wounds on the fire spirit. Asterisk Rog. Asterisk. Salamander roared as it flew backwards in retreat. Watching this from the ground, Vanessa could barely believe her eyes. A spirit's body is made up of magic. If he keeps using those swords that cut through magic to fight, we might actually win this. Why are you doing this? Why do you keep hurting us? Fana asked after Salamander retreated. Just felt like it. Spamming Dust Whirlwind Cutter on repeat, Grim kept launching himself at the salamander from many different directions. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. 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 Asterisk rog. Asterisk. Spamming that attack on repeat, every time Grim came close to Fana and the salamander he used crazy cutting to leave countless wounds on the spirit's body before blowing past them and repeating the process again. A/N, LOL, Grim doing to salamander what Asta, Vanessa, and Finral did to Veto. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Fana screamed. Crack. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Blown back by a sudden increase of mana, Grim landed on the ground next to his allies and looked up in surprise to see the diamond on Fana's head shatter and turn into a third eye. This increase in mana. Whoa! Grim and the others had to cover their faces, as the salamander flapped its wings. But that's not where the surprises ended. With Fana's sudden rise in mana, the salamander's form changed as it grew bigger and more muscular as crystals started floating around them. This magic, it feels just like Mars's. Standing atop the swole salamander surrounded by flames and crystals, Fana looked down at Grim with clear hostility. Burn in the flames of my hatred. Sorry, but I'm not a witch. Contrary to the despair she hoped to see, Grim raised his head to reveal a massive shit-eating grin. Chapter 64, Mana Control. Looking up to the flying salamander surrounded by fire and crystals, Grim couldn't help but marvel at Fana's sudden rise in mana due to her third eye. So this is the third eye that Asta and the others were talking about. Unable to help himself, Grim found himself grinning at the situation. Hey Grim, we're in real trouble aren't we? Vanessa asked even though she already knew the answer. Maybe. He shrugged. Maybe? In that case, can you explain why you're smiling? You feel it don't you? What? The blood flowing in your veins, the beating of your heart, every instinct in your body telling you to run. You feel it don't you? He looked over. Yet. Isn't it exhilarating? He grinned. Not exactly. Ha. Stepping forward, Grim's mana started rising. Breath of flames. Switching to this fire magic, Grim used the fact that he had some fire resistance to get closer to them. I hate you, 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 I hate you. Wow, she really likes to talk. Kind of like that licked guy now that I think about it. At least that guy could say more than 3 words. I hate you. Really? I never would have guessed. Grim. Finral called. Due to the surge of mana in the area I can't create any portals. Then use a broom to take the others and escape. Grim called back without turning around. Escape? What about you? I'm gonna go knock her out the sky. He pointed at the pink-haired psycho. Pink-haired psycho? Why am I getting some weird déjà vu? Are you crazy? Vanessa yelled. You can't fight that thing. Watch me. He grinned before using his increased mana control and fire magic to combust and explode the area between his solace and the ground. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Grim. She screamed as he shot upwards towards the enemy. Die. Fana shrieked as she threw both fire, spirit, and crystal magic at him. You first. Breath of wind, dust whirlwind cutter. Using this spell to evade the attacks, Grim activated it in short bursts. Watching the exchange from the ground, Asta, Vanessa, and Finral were awestruck. He's actually fighting against her, and not losing. Finral muttered with wide eyes. Is it just me, or is Grim a lot stronger than before? Vanessa asked. Cool. Asta's eyes shone. If me and Luck fought him now, I don't think we'd win. But just you wait Grim. I definitely won't lose next time we fight. Hey guys! What's going on? Oh what the hell? Hearing a familiar voice behind them, the trio turned around. Oh, hey Noelle! They waved. Don't hey Noelle me! What the hell is that? She pointed at the explosions in the sky. That? Grim's fighting the salamander and that Fana girl. The 3 said causally. Asterisk where? Asterisk. Salamander screamed as Grim used the force behind Rengoku to slam it into the ground and causing the earth to shake as its landing created a crater. So fire magic works on this thing as well. Neat. Isn't he stronger than before? Noelle looked to the others. Their response was a "I don't know" shrug. Who knew that being able to control my mana to this extent would allow me to separate the heat from my attack and only leave the overwhelming force? Cough cough. Dragging her body out from the crater, Fana coughed up a nice mouthful of blood. You know, my fire's not as hot as your salamanders, but since you were also using crystal magic to fight, shouldn't you have lasted a little longer? Standing a bit away from her, a look of disappointment covered Grimm's face. Biting her lip, rage consumed Fana. I'll kill Y. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Get some new lines. Using unknowing fire to flash in front of her, Grimm kicked her in the side of her jaw and sent her sprawling back to the salamander before she could complete her catchphrase. Witch Queen's throne room. Standing in her tattered throne room, the Witch Queen watched over the many battles happening in her territory. But the one that drew her attention the most was Grimm's ability to fight the salamander. To think he'd grow this much in such a short amount of time. I have to take him now before he's allowed to grow further. Another battlefield. Huff huff. What huff the hell did they do to him? Fanzel asked as both he and Mars dodged Ladros' million laser spell. After you left, he took the military reconstructive surgery and gained the ability to absorb and expel magic. What? Fanzel looked shocked. Ignoring his surprise, Mars kept speaking. If we hope to beat him, we only have two options. What are they? The first is to feed him more mana than his body can handle. For that to work we'd need spirit magic, the queen of this forest, or... Grimm flashback, never mind. What's the other? Anti-magic. Whoa. You actually beat her? Asta said after Grimm joined the group. Did you get stronger? Vanessa asked. In a sense. He nodded. How? You've been doing nothing but sitting around the base all this time. Finral added. Well, as it turns out, improving the way you control your own mana can actually be really effective. Grimm. You do know the reason Noelle's been having so much trouble is because she couldn't control her mana, right? Yeah, but our situations are different. While she couldn't control her mana, I just never saw the need to put in too much effort in obtaining a greater degree of control. But now you have. Yeah. You saw it, didn't you? He indicated to Fana and the salamander. Still. Isn't this increase in power too much? Vanessa asked, still unable to wrap her head around this. Not really, I've always had this much power, it's just that I've only been able to bring it out recently. No wonder you were smiling when she revealed her third eye. You never even considered the possibility of yourself losing. Seriously? Finral asked with a cramped smile. Mana control. Noelle muttered. Cool. Smiling at their reactions, even Grimm could hardly believe his elevation in power. To think that just tweaking the ways in which he utilized his mana would give off such an extreme reaction. But this was only the first step. If he was going to grow even stronger than he was, he'd need to further grasp his control of mana. How dare you? Feeling a fluctuation in mana from behind, Grimm and the others turned around. How dare you, how dare you, how dare you? Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk grow wherever. Asterisk. Whoa. Releasing another wave of mana, Fana crawled to her feet as her eyes locked with Grimm's, but instead of say her usual catchphrase, she merely raised her arm. Seriously? This three-eyed bitch can still stand. Asta. Fanzel yelled from the distance as both he and Mars were running from Ladros. Fanzel. Spirit magic, salamander's breath. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. It's coming. Hit that fireball towards me. Fanzel screamed. Confused by the order, Grimm chose to stand back and let Asta run in front and use the flat side of his blade to deflect the fireball towards Mars and Fanzel. Now! Fanzel yelled as he used his wind magic to push him and Mars out the way of the attack. Wah! Ladros' eyes widened as the fireball engulfed him. Creator's thoughts. Errata errata. It's a shame that there aren't many Black Clover FF on this site. I mean, I understand it's harder to write compared to something like Mha, but I think once you hit a certain point, it just becomes fun and quite easy. I won't lie, I had a hard time with the first couple chapters and so, but I feel like I've grown into it and am now comfortable enough to write a chap every day, which is hard since I'm still playing Ghost of Tsushima, nearly done though. Anyway, just giving my thoughts, hopefully this FF will inspire someone to write their own, and get to this point before dropping. And who knows, it'll probably be even better than mine. Oh. And for those wondering, no, Grim is not a masochist, he just really loves battle. Chapter 65, Ladros. What the hell was that about? Watching Ladros's body fall through the air, Grim couldn't help but wonder what was going on. You've gotten stronger, haven't you, Asta? Fanzel came over and praised. Aw shucks, I don't know about that. He scratched his head and laughed lightly. Hey you! Grim called out to Mars. Aren't you that loser from the dungeon that I stabbed a couple of times? Pausing his steps, the expression on Mars's face fell when he heard what Grim referred to him as. Ahem, I'm Mars, it's nice to formally meet you. He greeted. Cool. Hey, don't greet him so casually. Asta yelled and jumped in front of Grim while pointing his sword at Mars. Don't forget that he injured Noel. I'm not your enemy. Mars defended. It's cool, Asta. Grim said, placing his arm on his shoulder. I already beat him once, so he's no threat to us. Besides, I think even Noel can beat him at this stage. Hey! Noel yelled from the background. Anyway. He continued, ignoring Noel's protest. We have a bigger problem to deal with. He looked towards Salamander. Following his gaze, Mars and Fanzel's eyes went wide. Fana. Impossible, I heard that she died in one of Morris's experiments. Fanzel mumbled in shock. Seeing her figure bathed in fire and feeling her mana, memories of their shared past flashed through Mars's head. Fana. He yelled and tried to reach her. Whoa dude! What are you doing? Asta yelled, pulling him back. My head. Yarg. What's happening to my head? Clutching the side of her head, Fana winced in pain as she looked at Mars. Fana at me. Mars yelled, struggling to get out of Asta's hold. Shut up. It's me, Mars. Remember. Shut up. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Not again. Disappear. All of you need to disappear. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Igniting and combusting the air around her, Fana's magic started running rampant as that third eye on her forehead started shining brightly and fire engulfed her surrounding. She's gonna self-destruct. Finral yelled, remembering the whole Veto incident. Damn it. Vanessa cursed. This entire place is gonna be reduced to ashes in a couple of minutes. Your fault. This is all your fault. Releasing even more rampaging mana, Fanas kept screaming at Grim. What did I do? Oi Asta! Grim called. Hey! Yami stopped that Veto guy from self-destructing by killing him, right? What? Yeah, but what does that have to do wi? It just makes dealing with this situation easier. Switching to Breath of Flames, Grim took a step forward. Realizing what he was planning to do, Mars blocked his way and grabbed him by the collar. You're not killing my childhood friend. Ha! Frowning at his actions, Grim placed his hand on Mars's bare chest. Rengoku. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Don't touch me. Using the spell to hurl him into the distance, Grim fixed his collar and continued walking towards Fana. Mars. Fanzel yelled as he watched Mars get blasted away. Hey! Not cool, Grim. Asta said. Ignoring him, Grim took full advantage of the fact that he had some fire resistance to close the distance between him and Fana. You. It's always you. She screamed. Is that your final words? He asked, not slowing his steps. Burn. Increasing the intensity of the fire, the area was encased in the orange glow as Asta and the others had no choice but to retreat as the heat started scalding them. Even Grim with his fire resistance started to feel the heat turn up as he started sweating. So this is far as my resistance goes, hey. Thinking about it now, it took Yami one hit to defeat Veto. Grim on the other hand had been fighting Fana for quite a while now and had hit at least over 100 times and was still no closer to defeating her. Please. Mars's voice rung out from a distance. Sob, please don't kill my friend. Laying on the floor with smoking emanating from the area the Rengoku had hit him, Mars cried out in a painful voice as tears ran down his face. Evading her mass fireballs, Grim briefly switched to Breath of the Beast to slash through the firewall around her and create an opening. Not expecting him to actually make it this far, Fana started becoming hysterical. Stay away. Stay awa. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Annoyed by her constant rambling, Grim shut her up by gathering mana into his fist and punching her directly in her third eye. Holy crap! That actually worked! Asta exclaimed after watching the flames dissipate. Standing in the crater with an unsteady standing Fana, Grim watched as the third eye on her forehead trembled violently before vanishing. So overloading it with mana works. While Grim may have gotten rid of her third eye by transferring a shit ton of mana through his punch still packed quite a punch and caused the fragile-bodied Fana to fall flat on her back. Her mana levels have gone back down to normal. That weird familiarity I felt with her is also gone. Looking down at the pink-haired girl, Grim was surprised to see a girl with gentle eyes looking back up at him. Bored with the outcome, he didn't feel like killing her any longer as he sensed that she lacked the power to even compete with him further. In his eyes she was barely stronger than Mars, and considering how much stronger he was compared to Mars, fighting her would be beneath him. How come you didn't kill her? While Mars and Fana reunited and were questioned by the others, Vanessa went over and stood next to Grim. I didn't feel like she was a bad person. She was about to blow everything away. Yet, but looking at that girl standing there now, I can't see someone as gentle as her doing something so extreme. Looking at the girl who was clinging to the bare-chested Mars, Vanessa couldn't help but agree. But what if she didn't change? What would you have done? Isn't it obvious? I would have killed her. What? Don't look so surprised. If I felt like she was even a slight danger to my life, I would have killed her without blinking twice. You actually mean it, don't you? Yet. He nodded before getting up and stretching. Now we need to go and deal with the next problem. The next problem. Vanessa looked confused until she and the others suddenly felt a fluctuation of mana. Looking in the direction of the forest, Fanzel froze before screaming, "Everyone run for it!" As beams of mana rained down on them from the sky. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Creator's thoughts. Errata. Finally finished. God and man, what an amazing game. First time in a while that I've felt satisfied finishing a game. Anyway, Fana is defeated, quite easily tbh. With Grim's increased control of his mana, it turns out that he's now in a league of his own compared to the other Black Bulls, for the moment. LOL, mana control FTW. Oh, and if we're going off the guidebook ratings, Grim's mana control increased from a 3 to a 4. Chapter 66, Spirit Ladros. Watching the beams descend from the sky, Grim used flowing dance to evade while everyone else fell victim. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Ugh. Arg. Oh wah. My. A voice sounded out from the distance as a man came walking out from the forest. I thought I was dead for sure. Lifting his head up from the ground, with a pained expression present on his face, Fanzel looked at the figure with dread. Impossible, I felt your mana signature disappear. Haha. Ladros laughed before looking at him. You've grown old, Teach. And it seems like our dear Mars is having a bit of trouble. Looking over to the area Fana and Mars were at, he laughed at the fact that Mars had used his body to protect Fana. Oh well, I was planning to kill you anyway. He shrugged before shooting a magic bullet at him. No. Fana screamed. Just as Grim was about to get involved, a voice appeared in his head telling him to stop. Don't get involved. Hey. Hearing the unfamiliar voice speaking to him, Grim managed to put the voice to a face. Lesbo Queen. Hearing him refer to her as that again, the Witch Queen couldn't help but scowl in silence. Don't get involved. Yet, like I'm gonna listen to you. Ignoring her, Grim was about to go deal with Ladros but stopped when the Witch Queen said something that caught his attention. Wait. If you fight him now you'll miss something interesting. Interesting. Halting his steps, Grim paused for a second and watched as Asta appeared in front of the defenseless Mars and Fana and used the Demon Dweller sword to cut through the magic bullet. See. The Witch Queen continued. Don't you want to see what that boy is truly capable of? What he's truly capable of? Does the Witch Queen know something about Asta that I don't? If you just sit back and watch, I promise that you won't be disappointed. A/N, LOL, the Witch Queen trying to tempt our boy. Fine, but if this isn't as interesting as you're making it out to be, I promise to rename this place Salem in the future. Salem? Why would I be worried about you trying to rename my forest? Disappoint me and you'll find out. Ignoring her attempt to converse with him further, Grim played dead like the others and put on a pained expression as he watched the fight between Asta and Ladros. Million laser! Piss off! Asta screamed as he furiously used the demon dweller sword to defend against the numerous number of beams raining down on him. Ah ha 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 ha! Ladros laughed as he watched him struggle. I know all your fighting techniques. He grinned. Without that spatial mage who's currently passed out, you can't do a thing against long-distance magic, can you? Ah ha 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 ha! I'll use you as target prick. I said piss off. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Wah. Feeling a sharp pain boring into his shoulder, Ladros slowly lowered his head and saw the demon dweller sword sticking out of him. Heavy breathing. That huff was for attacking my friends. Looking up from the ground, Asta watched as Ladros's previous confident expression warped into one of panic. I can't pull it out. A/N, that's what she said. Feeling his magic getting sucked out, the magic he used to fly on that random branch stick faded, causing him to fall to the earth. This is pretty boring. I thought she said I'd see something interesting. Sigh, looks like I'm really gonna have to rename this place Salem in the future. I just hope I can handle hearing those screams. Who am I kidding? I can just clog my ears if it gets annoying. Oh. Something's happening. Desperate to get away from Asta, Ladros was forced to use reinforcement magic to run away and tear the demon dweller sword out of his shoulder. Argh! He screamed while pulling it out. With no other option left, he charged over to the weakened Mars and Fana. Oh no! Covered in sweat and desperate for a solution, he grabbed Fana up from the floor and started threatening her. El Ladros! Hey Fana, long time no see. I'm a bit short on time, so do me a favor and bring out that powerful magic you were using before, okay? Powerful magic? She looked confused. Unfortunately, her confusion only seemed to enrage him. Don't fuck with me! Asterisk bang! Mars! She screamed after he fired a magic bullet at Mars's unconscious figure. Hurry up Fana! Or the next one will kill him. Irg! Screaming at the top of her lungs, an intense heat burst out of her body as Salamander's silhouette formed behind her back. Ha 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 ha! It's here! Still pretending to be injured, Grim watched everything from the sidelines and started wondering how he would deal with someone who could absorb and expel magic in the same way as Ladros did. I guess I'd just stop using magic on my swords and just use them as normal weapons. I mean, if he can't absorb the magic within them, then wouldn't a simple decapitation do the trick? Hell, I don't think I'd even need to go that far. Since he hasn't shown any healing abilities so far, slashing his throat or stabbing him through the heart would probably be enough to kill him. Phew 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 phew. Out of all the magic I've devoured before, this is definitely the best. While Grim was thinking of ways to defeat him, Ladros had taken that time to absorb the salamander's immense amount of magic power and surpass the spirit. You bastard! Asta yelled before charging him. Be quiet, will you? Adding the power of the salamander on with his own, Ladros no longer felt like playing with Asta as he lifted his hand up and shot a magic bullet enhanced by spirit magic through Asta's shoulder as revenge for the wound Asta dealt to his own shoulder. So fast! Crash! Stumbling backwards, Asta fell flat on his back. Ah ha 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 ha! Ladros laughed again. This is it. This is the ultimate power. With this, even the other 8 shining generals won't be able to stop me. With this power, the kingdom will be mine. Reveling in his own power, Ladros started firing magic off randomly. Hell fucking yet! I'll wipe out all those who look down on me. He grinned wildly. Okay, this is getting out of hand. If I don't step in now, he might actually kill my friends. He can kill that Mars guy though. Not really invested in him. That Fana girl on the other hand could be an interesting opponent if she regained her former power and got like 3x stronger. Just as Grim was about to get up, the sight of Asta standing up caused him to hesitate. I'm not done yet. Oh? Didn't think you'd be able to stand so quickly. Well, who cares, I'll make sure you don't do that again. Firing off another spirit magic enhanced magic bullet, Asta's body was sent hurling into the distance as he took that attack head on. Asta! Noel and the others screamed. Witch Queen! Grim yelled in his head. Witch Queen throne room! Hearing Grim's rage-filled call, the Witch Queen looked at her viewing orb with confusion. He fell so quickly. Was I wrong about what he was capable of? Since he was able to wield that sword, I thought he might have been that man's descendant, but... Looking at the defeated Asta and the now hostile Grimm, the Witch Queen sighed and raised her hand to the orb showcasing Asta's figure. Even if you are not that man's descendant, I will find out what you are. Back to the battlefield. Laying face down in the dirt with his hand gripping his Demon Slayer sword, an ominous black energy started pouring out of the sword and crawled up Asta's arm. Chapter 67, Black Asta. This feeling. It's not magic. Watching with bated breaths, Grimm, Noel, Fanzel and the others stared in shock as the sky darkened and red lightning flashed through the air. Asta. Emerging from within a pitch-black cocoon, Asta re-emerged to the word sporting a lightless black arm, a single pitch-black wing and a curved black horn spouting from the side of his head. What the hell? Ladros backed up slightly. Is this what the Queen was talking about? Forgetting that he was supposed to pretend to be hurt, Grimm's grimoire flashed into sight as it started pulsing with energy. This feeling. It's just like the first time I saw Asta wield his sword. Recalling that time at the Magic Knight's exam when his grimoire reacted to Asta, Grimm realized that it wasn't Asta that his grimoire was reacting to, it was the anti-magic. Does it feel threatened? No. It's more like something about Asta's grimoire is agitating it. Feeling the aura around his grimoire growing, Grimm did his best to suppress it just like he had did during the Magic Knight's exam as to not interrupt Asta and draw attention to himself. Unfortunately this did not escape the Witch Queen's eyes. Remembering that he had the power that surpassed that of one of the great spirits, Ladros calmed himself down and started laughing. That's quite the transformation you've got there. But pray tell, what exactly are you gonna do with it? Thrusting his arm forward, he unleashed powerful beam of magic at Asta in an attempt to incinerate him. Unfazed by the attack, Asta raised his sword up high as he took a step forward before slashing down with enough force to crack the ground and nullifying the magic in the process. Impossible. Blown back by the shockwave from Asta's sword swing, Ladros took to the air and started firing off an untold number of magic bullets. Ha 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 ha. You can't fly. Now stay down there and be crushed like the bug that you are. Reading his ki, Asta? Through the battlefield before breaking through his attacks and taking to the sky with his black wing. Seeing them both fly without the use of a broom, Finral couldn't help but say. They fly now. Confirming that what they were seeing was actually real, everyone nodded in union and said they fly now. This strength. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. This speed. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. This power. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Watching all of this from the ground, Grimm felt his hands form themselves into fists as he realized that Asta's current strength was only a bit if not on par with his. The power he attained through many days of concentration and mana control was immediately achieved within seconds by Asta in this new form of his. For the first time since coming to this world, Grimm finally realized the unfairness of those with extra leaves on their grimoires. First Yuno's sudden rise in power and now this. TCH, that God must be laughing his ass off right now. While Grimm was indeed happy that Asta had gotten stronger, he disliked the fact that the gap between them that he had worked so hard to make had closed with a simple transformation. That being said, he realized that elevating his own power up by simply getting better at controlling his own mana was also absurd. For someone like Noel who had struggled with this fact for years, it was indeed absurd that someone like Grimm who had only been in the world for 5 years had better control of his mana despite only really practicing for a few days. In fact, if he had practiced controlling his mana within these past 5 years, who knows just how powerful he'd be right now. Watching the fight continue from ground level, Grimm couldn't help but nod at what he was seeing. Shit, 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 shit. Firing off multiple beams of magic while also running for his life, Ladros cursed endlessly as the odds were slowly turning against him. Witch Queen throne room. I see now, at first I thought he was just like you, but it seems as though through some kind of spontaneous mutation, his body became incapable of having mana dwell in it. He is simply a defect. But it is because of this defect that he is capable of wielding that sword. He is nothing special at all, but it is because he is nothing special, that he is able to become remarkable. Listening to the Queen's explanation from the battlefield, Grimm found himself staring at his flying friend. Stay away. Move it. Get out of my sight. Confused, frightened, and extremely desperate, Ladros let out a roar as he gathered up a large quantity of mana and shot a flaming dragon-shaped magic bullet at Asta who had finally decided to finish this. In his presence. Black. Stay back. All magic is. Meteor. Stay back. Meaningless. Right. Charging through the descending fire and magic, like a rising black star, Asta broke through the flames, and with the pitch-black demon slayer overflowing with anti-magic power, he slashed right through Ladros' chest. Amazing! Watching Asta defeat Ladros, Noel and the others were barely unable to comprehend the sight before them. After being hit by Asta's black meteorite, Ladros' body was sapped of all its mana and left him looking like an anorexic mummy. Kill me! Standing above him with his one red eye, Asta looked down on him with no emotion. This lasted for about a second until Asta switched back to his normal state, where he started talking about how killing is wrong and that he should repay all the people he's hurt. It was very Asta-like. Watching the anti-magic power leave his body, Grimm decided to get up now that the fight was over. And while he might not like the bitch queen much, he had to admit that she came through with her promise about showing him something interesting. Just as he was about to go over and greet his friend, the sudden appearance of a familiar mana signature stopped him in his tracks. Looking up at the sky, a flock of ravens gathered together in the air before descending in front of Asta and revealing the Witch Queen. What is she doing here? Witch Queen? Asta exclaimed with shock and excitement. I did it. Did you see me? I beat all the guys from the Eye of the Midnight Sun and Diamond Kingdom. I see. She nodded while looking over at Grimm and smiling. Oh no. Run, Asta. Call it instinct or a sixth sense, but the moment the Witch Queen arrived on the battlefield, an unsettling feeling overcame Grimm as he instinctively switched to Breath of Flames to explode the area between the earth and his feet to shoot into the sky. Seeing him jump away, the creepy smile on the Witch Queen's face revealed itself to everyone as she raised her hand. Blood creation magic, scaffold of fresh blood. With her grimoire wide open, a large pool of blood burst forth from the ground, spreading along the dented earth and covering the floor. Watching as his teammates were restrained by red crucifixes that rose up from the blood pool, Grimm couldn't help but curse internally. To think you'd actually sense my intent. That blood of yours must have made you sensitive to mana. Smiling at Grimm's action of jumping out of her range, the Witch Queen couldn't help appreciate him even more. What are you doing? Infuriated by the Lesbo Queen restraining his friends, Asta turned to the Queen and yelled. Hearing his voice, the bitch Queen was irritated that he had interrupted her thoughts on Grimm and replied with a cold silence. Gah! Argh! Feeling a sudden pain spreading through his body, Asta clutched parts of his body as his legs became weak. My magic is the ability to make us and control blood. Argh! From the moment I used my magic to heal your arms, my magic had already infected you and gave me the ability to freely control all the blood in your body. Gaia! Did you really think I'd let someone with the power to negate magic go so easily? Blood magic, puppet blood flow. Taking control of Asta's body, Asta's screams suddenly stopped as his eyes rolled into the back of his head and he started acting like a puppet on strings. Your body's no good in that condition. Flipping to another page in her grimoire, she used the same spell she had used earlier on his arms to heal his entire body. Since I cannot wield the anti-magic swords myself, all I need to do is control someone who can. This bitch is really insane. You've already shown me how you fight, now you can spend the rest of your life working for me as my sword. Smiling at the bound Black Bull members, the Queen forcefully put Asta back into his black form. For your first assignment, I'll have you capture your black-haired friend over there. Seeing her pointing to him, Grimm clicked his tongue and summoned out his beast swords. TCH, still wanting to control men even though you don't like them, you really are the queen of the Lesbos. Chapter 68, Black Form Asta vs Mana Control Grimm. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Kicking off the floor with enough force to break ground and leave a deep-rooted crater behind, Asta flashed through the air with a ludicrous speed that surpassed that of his fight with Ladros. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Not backing down in the slightest, Grimm copied Asta's movements as he also charged his friend. Clashing their blades together, the impact from the connection caused a powerful shockwave to shake the land as violent winds started blowing, causing the hair on everyone's head to rise. Holy crap! Compared to when Asta fought Ladros, after healing his previous injuries, the current power of Asta actually surpassed his past self. Asterisk crack. Asterisk. Hearing that sound, Grimm's eyes went wide as the beast swords shattered and he was pushed back. After clashing head-on with him, Grimm discovered that not only was Asta faster than before, but his physical abilities had also been enhanced to the point that a single swing had enough force to shatter his swords. TCH. Slowing down his momentum by digging he heels into the ground, Grim used Breath of Flames to explode the area between the ground and his soles to give him an explosive boost in speed as he shot towards the charging Asta. Breath of Flames, first form, unknowing fire. Clad in his orange aura and combined with his Breath of the Beast base power, Grim shot across the ground burning everything that stood in his path as he and Asta prepared to clash once more. But before the two of them did so, Grim switched magic attributes again and used Dust Whirlwind Cutter moments before their blades connected to boost himself up in the air before changing to Breath of Mist. 8-layered mist. Unleashing a flurry of numerous arc-shaped mist attacks, Grim watched as the one-winged Asta took to the air and either dodged or deflected every attack with the Demon Slayer's sword. Seeing Asta's rapid accession and knowing that Grim couldn't fly, worry gripped the hearts of Vanessa and the rest as they saw Asta's blade centimeters away from hitting Grim. But just then a look of shock covered both theirs and the Witch Queen's faces as Grim somehow managed to move backwards mid-air, allowing the Demon Slayer sword to pass in front of his face before he delivered a Breath of the Beast enhanced power kick to Asta's chest, sending him sprawling into the distance. He flies now. Noelle gasped. Amazing, to think he'd so much control over his mana that he could levitate. He truly is a being loved by mana. Watching the battle from the ground view, the Witch Queen couldn't help but marvel at Grim's capabilities as a mage. And just like they had said, Grim was floating in the air without the use of a broom or spell. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Not wasting time, Grim switched to Breath of Wind to make himself swifter as he shot towards the distant Asta. Stabilizing himself in the air, Asta's pupil-less eyes stared at the approaching Grim and prepared to use Black Meteorite as he shot towards the green-clad figure. It's over. The Queen smiled. Closing in on one another again, Asta prepared to execute Black Meteorite once more but was surprised when Grim did something unexpected. Instead of clashing head-on, Grim switched to Breath of Water and used Flowing Dance to beautifully weave through the slash and deliver several bloody slashes on his body. Oh! Surprised by the sudden occurrence, the Witch Queen couldn't help but raise her brows. From what she saw from Asta's fight with Ladros, she knew that his battle senses were incredible as it seemed like he was able to see through all of Ladros's attacks before he could even make them. But this didn't make sense. While she knew Grim was strong from his fight with Fana and the salamander, never in her wildest dreams did she think that he was able to combat her new sword. Flowing Dance. Crazy Cutting. Switching between these two breath styles in rapid succession of each other, the precision of strikes and the power in each blow slowly increased as he started getting used to aerial combat and begun to dominate the fight. He's actually improving. Forget his potential, forget his mana reserves, forget his ability to fly. The fact that he was visually improving in front of her eyes was enough of a shock to the Witch Queen that her inner desires started leaking out. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Beating down on Asta with crazy cutting, every time his swords were on the brink of shattering, Grim cast them away and materialized new ones to take their place. With his absurd amount of mana within him, this wasn't really a problem, and the longer he did it the faster he got at materializing them. Protecting himself with the Demon Slayer's sword, Asta slowly found himself falling into a disadvantageous position as Grim was above him and ruthlessly bore down on him with a relentless amount of slashes. Damn it! I know that the situation is really bad and all that. But why? Why can't I stop smiling? Breath of Flames, 9th form, Rengoku. With the increased control of his mana, Grim raised the burning fire sword high above his head before slashing down. But unlike before, Grim gathered the raging power of the Rengoku spell and held it within the blade, causing it to shine brightly as the moment the sword hit the flat side of the Demon Slayer sword he unleashed the devastating power of Rengoku, and unlike what would normally happen where a spell could be deflected off the blade, Grim kept feeding the spell power and watched as the beam of concentrated fire pushed against the black sword until Asta was forced down from the sky and back to the earth. With enough force to shake the ground, Asta's back slammed violently hard into the dirt, creating a mini crater in the process and causing a large dust cloud to cover the Bitch Queen and everyone else in the area. Looking at his cracked swords, Grim frowned before using the mana he normally used to materialize new swords to repair his current ones. Oh! If I clash with Asta again, then I guess I can just repair my swords before they break. Thinking about his first clash with Black Form Asta, Grim realized that even though his swords were physical, every time his swords came into contact with the Asta's Demon Slayer, the magic surrounding the blades would be nullified. But if he was fast enough, then wouldn't it be possible for him to repair the blades faster than the anti-magic could negate it? If so, then he'd have no problem fighting Asta with pure swordsmanship. Smiling to himself, he completely forgot that he was in the middle of a battle until Asta's black figure burst from the ground and charged back into the sky. Grinning at the fact that he was still capable of fighting back, Grim used Dust Whirlwind Cutter to shoot down and meet him head-on. Feeling the wind whip against his face, the blood in his body started to become restless as every sensation he had sharpened. Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Clashing their swords together mid-air, a powerful shockwave that ripped the very trees from their roots echoed out as the two locked swords together. It's working! It's really working! Using his magic to repair his swords faster than the anti-magic could negate the effects, Grim found himself fighting evenly with Asta in a head-on battle. While he may not have been able to compete with him physically, his outrageous amount of mana made up for it. So what if Asta broke his swords? He'd just fix them before they truly shattered. Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Swinging their swords wildly, the sound of metal clashing against metal rung out as the two of them fought on even terms with Grim slowly gaining the advantage again. Asterisk swoosh! Asterisk! Dodging a well-aimed neck strike, Grim slashed at Asta's torso and left two deep sword wounds on his body. As the fight extended, Grim learned a very important fact. While Asta was stronger now compared to when he fought Ladros, physically, his consciousness was no longer then causing him to make simple mistakes that a conscious Asta wouldn't. Angered by this fact, his strikes become a lot more viscous as he intended to completely crush Asta. Crazy cutting! Not holding back in the slightest, Asta was forced to defend as a flurry of deadly sword strikes bore down on him. He's winning! Noelle gasped from the ground. No! Vanessa's lips trembled. He's killing him! Realizing what would happen if this continued any further, Vanessa pleaded with the Witch Queen to end this. End this? It's just beginning. Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Having her dress flutter from the shockwave produced by their sword clashes, the Witch Queen turned to look at Vanessa. Vanessa will gather that which I desire and eventually she will return to the forest. That is what my divination foretold. That is why I did not stop you from leaving with that man. She said the last part with mild disgust. Though I never would have thought that you returned to me that child and a boy wielding anti-magic. I did this. Do you not understand, Vanessa? Because you are my daughter, my family, you will never escape me, you are mine, Vanessa. Everything you own belongs to me, your comrades, your emotions, your power, your very being, it's all mine. I don't belong to you. Oh. Hearing her daughter talk about to her, the Witch Queen raised her eyebrow as the battle above her raged. You say we're family, but you don't know the first thing about what that means. You know nothing of love, compassion, or heart. Someone as empty as you will never understand me or the bonds I've made. So don't you dare call me your family again. The only people I call my family is the Black Bulls. Asterisk crash. Asterisk. Crashing violently into the ground for the second time, a bloody and bruised up Asta crawled his way to his feet. Seeing his ragged figure and hearing the strain in his breathing, it didn't take much for Vanessa to understand that his body was on the brink of a breakdown and that if he fought any further then there would be a good chance of him dying. So you couldn't even defeat him despite using your new power. What an imperfect doll you are. Seeing his pitiful body struggle to get back up, the Witch Queen sighed with annoyance. Guess I'll have to deal with him myself, at least make yourself useful and kill some of your comrades. What? Tightening his hold on the Demon Slayer's sword, the conscienceless Asta stumbled his way to the front of the crucified Noelle. Asta. Shit. I won't make it in time. Seeing what Asta was about to do, Grim shot down from the sky with as much speed as breath of wind granted him. Watch how those bonds of yours are so easily broken. The Witch Queen grinned and gave Asta the order. And no. Screaming at the top of her lungs, a violent red aura burst out from Vanessa Grimoire as a small mass of red string formed and weaved itself into the shape of a cat. Creator's thoughts. Errata. In regards to the love interest, at first I was gonna focus on Mimosa cause she's best girl, Nero is a close second, then I was persuaded to make this a harem, then we got introduced to a new girl in the manga called V and I think her and Grimm's personalities go together well, manga readers know why, so now I'm kinda confused in which direction to go in. As for Grimm's and Asta's current power levels, Grimm is slightly stronger as seen in this fight, but due to Asta not being conscious and having his body controlled, it is a bit more difficult to say who would win in a straightforward battle. But yes, for those wondering, Grimm did win this fight. Chapter 69, Sensation. Fate is a funny thing, to those who try to defy it, they do so not realizing that in doing so they are mere slaves walking the path of a predetermined fate. For the Queen of Witches who sees herself as the closet being to perfection, having control of this power would truly grant her that perfect status. So you've finally awakened. Unable to hold it back any further, the Witch Queen burst out into a gleeful fit of laughter. Anti-magic, fate manipulation, and the blood of the species loved by Mana. Mine, they will all be mine. Seeing that the Queen was distracted by the sudden appearance of Vanessa's red cat, Grimm took it upon himself to take the bitch out before she could command Asta to do something he'd regret. Breath of Thunder. Switching to the magic with the fastest attack speed, Grimm didn't want to leave the Queen with any time to react. Third form, Thunder Swarm. Swinging his blade forward, multiple arcs of spinning lightning shot out and struck the Queen. Not to his surprise, the Queen had erected a blood barrier around herself that defended against the lightning. Not willing to waste time on Grimm and his attacks, the Queen focused her attention on Vanessa and her cat. While Grimm's blood and ancestry did spark the Queen's greedy nature, compared to the power to manipulate fate it was inconsequential. Commanding Asta to kill Noelle, he held the sword tightly before swinging it and decapitating the silver-haired noble. Noelle! Screaming loudly, Vanessa didn't even realize that her cat had touched Asta, and the scene they were seeing now was completely different to the gruesome one they had seen seconds before. Instead of cutting through Noelle's neck, Asta sliced through the bottom part of the crucifix holding her up. What? Rip and tear. Taking advantage of the Queen's momentary lapse in attention, Grimm switched to Breath of the Beast and easily sliced through the blood barrier before arriving at the Queen's side and activating Crazy Cutting. Bye bye bitch! Watching the blades grow larger in her eyes, the Queen felt her life flash before her eyes as she panicked and instinctively summoned all her crows to her side, making them taste the metal of Grimm's blade. Slash! 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 Unfazed by the sudden appearance of the crows, Grimm massacred the lot of them in seconds before charging the Queen, who was in a state of shock after almost having her life ended by someone weaker than her. Queen! He yelled, gripping his swords tightly and jumping at her. Stay back or I'll kill her! At this range and with his swords capable of cutting through magic, the Queen knew any defense she had would be useless unless she managed to put some distance between them or stop his charge. With that idea in mind, she used puppet blood flow on Vanessa and planned to use her as a hostage. Breath of Wind. Switching breath styles again, Grimm pushed his mana to the absolute limit as he burst forward at a speed so fast that his wind sword didn't even have enough time to form as he drove his fist deep into the Witch Queen's bony cheek. Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Compressing and combusting the air between his fist and the Queen's cheek, an explosive amount of force burst out as Grimm broke the bones in her cheek and sent her flying high into the air. Feeling the unfamiliar presence of 4 tiny paws appearing on his shoulder, Vanessa's red cat leapt off of him and landed on the Witch Queen's airborne body, dispelling any magic that she had active. Damn, that's the second woman I've punched today. Should I go for a third? Crashing heavily on the floor with a giant bruise on her face, Grimm walked over to the defeated Queen and after materializing his beast swords and pressing them against her neck, he said. Probably a weird thing to ask considering the circumstances and all that, but how does it feel to lay flat on your back while a man bears down on you? He asked with a mischievous grin. Coughing up a mouthful of blood and several teeth, the Queen awoke to the feeling of sharp metal pressed against her neck. One wrong move and her life would be cut like a piece of string. I lose. No shit. Showing off an innocent smile, he was about to pierce her throat, but the sound of Vanessa's sudden call stopped him. Don't kill her. Without turning to look at her, he tilted his head while keeping his eyes trained on the Witch Queen. She's beaten, there's no need to kill her. Vanessa said after arriving by his side. Seriously? That's your argument? Grimm. If you kill her then there will be no one left to protect the witches' forest. What about the witches? Vanessa shook her head. They need a strong leader to protect them. Without her the witches' forest wouldn't survive the attacks from the neighboring kingdoms. As bad as that sounds, it's not really my problem. Grimm, please. Hearing the desperation in her voice, Grimm eventually relented and slowly moved his sword away from the Queen's throat. You owe me. Nodding her head, she watched as he walked away before looking back at the bloody-mouthed Queen. He really is incredible, isn't he? The Queen grinned, looking up at her daughter. Not only is he loved by Mana, his prowesses in combat is amazing. I never thought I'd see the day when you'd praise a man. Ha ha ha, cough cough. Coughing up another mouthful of blood, the Queen dusted off her clothes as she struggled to her feet. Activating her healing magic, she removed the concussion and healed her face. Looking at her daughter's resolute face, a series of flashbacks played in the queen's head as she eventually smiled before healing the others and inviting them back to her throne room. What you people call a magic stone is likely this. Removing her earring, the queen threw it to Grimm, who caught it with little difficulty. Having not gone on the seabed temple mission with the others, this was the first time that Grimm had seen a magic stone. Why would the Eye of the Midnight Sun be after this? Staring at Grimm's face closely, the queen briefly closed her eyes before opening them and answering. That stone in your hand has the ability to amplify the magic power of the person wielding it. Whoa! Seriously? Unfortunately, only those born from the Elven tribe can use it to its full potential. Hearing the words Elven, Grimm's eyes focused sharply on the stone in his hand. This action did not go unnoticed to the queen, who merely smiled. Elven? As in elves? Finral asked, confused by what she meant. Nodding her head, the queen explained that it was unknown where the elves exactly came from. She also brought up some information that the group weren't knowledgeable about, like the fact that the elves lived in what is currently known as the Forsaken Realm. Oddly enough, that's where Asta's village was located. The group also learnt that the elves were a species born with a naturally high amount of magic power, with most of them possessing magic power on par with the queen herself. She then went on to explain that the elves came into conflict with the humans, and due to their superior numbers the elves were defeated and eventually faded away into the annals of history. Furthermore, the third eye that Fana possessed was actually the result of somebody casting forbidden magic on her. She then focused her attention on Grimm and paid attention every minor expression that crossed his face. It could be possible that Eye of the Midnight Sun are descendants of the elf tribe. Furthermore, looks at Asta, those swords you wield are the last remains of the elf tribe leader that summoned the ancient demon god. What? Overloaded with too much information that he couldn't understand, Asta's brain seemed to spasm as he fainted and started mumbling to himself. After fixing Asta's arms and getting the magic stone along with a plethora of new information, it was time for the Black Bulls to leave. Grimm! The queen called out. A word if you will. What? No way! Asta said, standing in front of him and preparing to bring his anti-magic swords out. Placing his hand on his shoulder, Grimm gently pulled him back. It's fine, Asta. What? But she... I know. He nodded. But I want to talk to her too. Hearing the conversation, Vanessa came and stood by his side. Are you sure? Yet. Looking into his eyes, Vanessa couldn't glean any information from his face and eventually sighed before grabbing Asta and heading outside. We'll wait for you out here. Nodding his head, Grimm waited until the group had left the area to finally turn his attention back on the queen. Not liking the fact that the queen's throne gave her a position in which she was looking down on him, Grimm manipulated his mana to gently levitate off the ground and fly above the throne so he could look down on her. A/N, weird flex but okay. Seeing him flying, the queen couldn't help but breathe out lightly. What noble mana! You've grown a lot since the last time I saw you. Yeah, about that, you keep implying that you know me, but I'm pretty sure we've never met before. Falling silent, the queen looked at Grimm's face like she was trying to memorize it. 5 years ago you appeared within my forest through some powerful means unknown to me. Hearing her talk about the past 5 years, Grimm frowned. You knew I was there? Knew you were there? I protected you while you lived in my territory. What? Don't tell me you didn't find it strange that you as a child was able to survive so many run-ins with powerful beasts without losing your life. Well, yet, but I was a pretty badass kid, so. For the 2 years you spent living in my forest, I ensured that you had everything you needed to survive. Whenever you fell hungry I provided you with a weak animal that you could easily hunt, whenever you became thirsty I cleared the streams so that no predators would attack. Even in your sleep, I protected you from the senses of any preying beasts. Hearing all of this, Grimm was mildly shocked but quickly calmed himself down as only one question persisted in his mind. Why? Why would a man-hating carpet-munching cunt like you protect a child like me? And don't say it was because I was a kid. After seeing how you treat your own daughter, that bullshit won't work on me. Ignoring his blatant insult, the queen looked him up and down before explaining. Your blood. My blood. Don't tell me she has a blood fetish. Seeing the weird expression on his face, the queen frowned. Whatever you're thinking is incorrect. Ahem, please explain. Sigh, I can sense the blood of the elf tribe running through your veins, powerful but yet to be unleashed. But from your reaction to me explaining how the elves were wiped out earlier, you already knew that, didn't you? Seeing that he wasn't going to say anything, she continued. Originally, I planned to guide you into the witch's forest and then turn you into my puppet. What stopped you? Gazing at his face, the witch queen thought back to the time of his childhood. Like with my daughter, I had a divination that you would return to this place and with you you'd awaken a long-lost sensation within me. Long-lost sensation? Remembering the punch he had delivered to the side of her face and all the bloody accompanying it, Grim could help but grin. Quite a painful sensation if I do say so myself. Although it was quite a surprise to see you here with my daughter and that anti-magic boy, I now understand the sensation that the divination foretold of. Boy, no, Grim, for the past hundreds of years. Hundreds of years? How old is this bitch? She looks good though. I have sought out perfection, first it was through my magic, then it was through my daughter and now I see it is through you. Excuse me. After seeing what you were capable of today, from your power, potential, and battle senses, I finally understand the true path to perfection. What is she on about? With my knowledge and power combined with your blood and potential, we would be unstoppable. Combined? Wait a second. You don't mean? Breed me Grim. She declared. And together we will birth the greatest witch. No. The perfect witch. Grim. Fuck no. He suddenly yelled, catching her off guard. What? Not expecting that answer, the queen was understandably confused. While she may not be as young as her daughter Vanessa, she knew she would still be able to turn heads if she appeared in any of the 4 kingdoms. Listen lady, forgetting the fact that you are like 800 years old or something, though I would still smash, if there's one thing memories have made very clear to me, it's to not stick my dick in crazy. Especially those with crazy lesbian strength. And besides, what do you mean the perfect witch? What if it came out as a boy? Instead of answering, the queen looked down to his crotch and frowned. For some reason, Grim could hear the distant sound of scissors. Yeah, this ain't happening. It was nice meeting you, well not really but thanks for the magic stone. Bye. Waving his hand, Grim didn't waste any time listening to anything the witch queen had to say any further as he blew another hole in the throne room wall and flew through it and into the distance. Creator's thoughts. Errata. Who? We reached the end of the arc. Honestly didn't think this chapter would be this long but whatevs. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We'll have the festival next, then Mirioliana introduction leading into the Royal Knights tournament and then the elf reincarnation arc. Really excited to write all of that, big things planned. But before any of that can happen, I must return to MimHFF and put this one on break for a little while. I'll probably be gone for a week or 2 but don't worry, I'm not dropping it. Honestly kinda surprised we made it this far lol. Guess I'm the first BCFF to make it this far on the site. LOL, feeling like a trailblazer. JK, if you guys aren't reading MimHFF then I'll see you next time I release a BCCHP. Chapter 70, Returning to the Base. We're back bitches. Kicking the door open, Grim and the rest of the squad that went to the witch's forest strolled in much to the annoyance of Yami. Captain Yami. Asta yelled and ran to his side. Look. My arms are healed. Raising his head up from his newspaper, the first thing Yami said actually wasn't related to his arms at all. Why are you half naked? Looking down at himself, Asta remembered that his clothes had burned during his fight with Spirit Ladros. Yami-san. Vanessa rushed to his side and handed him something. We got a magic stone. Seriously? He said in surprise before calling Asta. Oi kid. Yes sir. Now that your arms are healed I can give you a special mission. Special mission? Asta's eyes glowed. Yeah. He nodded. It one that only you can do. Really? What is it? I promise I won't fail. Good, good. Now go buy some booze, we're gonna celebrate tonight. Yes sir. Saluting to him for some reason, Asta ran upstairs, grabbed his money pouch then sped out of the building. And you? Yami turned to look at Grim before squaring up to him. Who gave you permission to kick my door? Yeah, so now I can fly. Cool right? Grim asked after telling him what went down in the witch's forest. MMM. Yami nodded taking a swig of alcohol. That's your reaction. Do you have any idea how much mana control is needed to do that? Be more impressed. Gulping down the beer, Yami slammed the mug down on the table and looked at him. So what if you can fly now? Julius can fly, that pasty dude we fought in the cave could fly, hell even that bird that follows you and the shrimp around can fly. You're really not that special. Oh fuck you. If anybody can fly then why don't you do it? Grim defended. TCH, you don't think I can? I just haven't surpassed my limits yet. What the hell does that even mean? Surpassing your limits and flying because of immaculate mana control are totally different. Suddenly realization dawned on Yami's face as he looked at Grim with clear eyes. You're right, now that you can fly we should use your abilities to their fullest. You finally understand. Yeah, now you can fly up to the roof and scrub away all the nasty bird shit that's been gathering there for years. You really want to go, don't you? Before Yami could answer, Asta burst back into the room carrying bottles on top of bottles. I'm back, he announced, slamming the alcohol on the table. Took you long enough, brat. Yami grinned, cocking open another bottle and draining it of its contents. Hee hee. Asta chuckled and scratched the back of his head. So, what's my next mission gonna be? Next mission? After what happened during your last mission, I'm banning you from accepting any more work for a while. What? But if you take my missions away from me, what will I have left? Muscles. No. And put some damn clothes on, we don't allow nudists around here. Watching the two of them in silence, Grim wondered if other squads were like this. We're back. A sudden voice echoed out from the doorway. Magna. Remembering that Magna and Luck went off to a dungeon in search of a method to heal Asta's arms, he was stunned when he turned around to look at them. What the fuck? Somehow managing to levitate off the ground, Magna and Luck were each covered in an aura of the exclusive magic element. What the fuck happened to you guys? And why do you suddenly look so cool? Wait a second. Are these fuckers flying? Turning his head to the side slowly, he saw Yami looking at him was a massive "I told you so" grin on his face. Fuck K. Magna, who had his hair down and was missing his shades, stood in what Grim remembered to be something called a JoJo pose while spouting off some random nonsense. So dark. So dark. In order to heal Asta's broken arms we delved into the depths of the dungeon and ended up getting outrageously stronger in the process. Mana is calling me. With his hair spiked back and surrounded in a cloak of lightning, a white-eyed Luck kept repeating the same phrase over and over again. I'm sorry Asta, we managed to get stronger but we couldn't find a way to heal your arms. Mana is calling me. I'm sorry we failed you. A single tear fell from Magna's eye. Mana is calling me. Should I have gone to the dungeon instead? Grim wondered. Regretting that he chose to stay at the base and practice his mana control, an aura of depression landed on Grim's shoulders. It's cool guys. Asta reassured them. Look, my arms are fine. He waved them. Just as everyone thought things were about to get weird, Magna and Luck snapped back to their normal selves. Well, why didn't ya say so? Magna grinned and wrapped his arm around Asta's shoulders. All right. Luck cheered. Let's go have a fight. No thanks. Asta rejected. We're back. Another familiar voice sounded out from the doorway. Not another one. As if feeling his depression, Nero fluttered its wings and flew over to his shoulder. Are you pitying me? He asked after seeing the bird staring up at him. Stare. Ha, ha. I don't know why, but for some reason I actually thought you'd answer me. Hey Grim. Noelle called out. You doing okay? Hey? Yeah, I'm cool. Walking into sight, Ghosh and Gordon appear in otaku attire. Nope, not even gonna ask. Not too long later, Charmy and Grey finally appeared with mushrooms sprouting from their heads. What kind of drugs have they been taking? Not listening to anything going on around him, Grim's attention was caught by Yami's next words. So there's this festival coming up soon and you all need to get ready. Festival? Asta said, looking confused. Seeing this, Finral stepped up to explain. You know how Magic Knight squads perform meritorious deeds, they get awarded with stars, right? I think the Wizard King said something like that before. Right, so this festival is an event in which all the Magic Knight squads gather in order for the public to see who has the most stars and who has the least. It's basically a Magic Knight squad ranking system. A hassle is what it is. Yami butted in. Besides, we're always dead last anyway. A festival, hey. Thinking about everything that had happened in the Witch's Forest and the time period until the start of the festival, Grim had a couple of things he wanted to get done. Standing up from his seat, he drew everyone's attention as he walked up to Yami and said, "Please fight me." Creator's thoughts. Errata. So good news, I'm still writing and have planned out the elf arc during this time that I've been away. Also BC still doesn't have a bad OP, OP12 is a different kind of fire. And bad news, now that school is back my schedule is gonna get busy so updates might be a bit slower when I return my focus back to BC. And then there's the fact that I'm now moving into a student house because I'm continuing my course in a different city. So who knows how that's gonna affect me. Chapter 71, Stance. So let me get this straight, if I fight you, I get all the yell you made from me back when we gambled and extra. Yami asked with a raised eyebrow. Yet. Grim nodded confirming his words. Great. Let's go to the courtyard. Gathering out on the courtyard behind the base, Yami and Grim stood opposite each other as Asta and the others watched from the sidelines. Who do you think is gonna win? Noel asked. Captain. Yami. The Cap of course. Not completely shocked by the outcome but still surprised to actually hear it be so one-sided, Noel asked them why they all thought that way. Vanessa, who had seen Grim's power in the witch's forest, went quiet for a moment before giving an answer that the rest of the bulls nodded to. While Grim may be strong, I just can't imagine Yami ever losing. You better have that money ready, brat. Yami grinned, unsheathing his katana. Heh, I've been wanting to do this ever since the Magic Night exams. Grim smiled back and summoned out his flame sword. Letting the orange glow surround his body, the temperature around him started rising as his eyes took on an orange hue. Standing completely still, the two katana users sized the other up. As if time had stopped, only the sounds of their breaths could be heard as the two got into their sword stances and remained motionless. What are they doing? Noel asked, confused since no one was attacking. They're using ki to read the others' movements. Asta suddenly said, much to everyone's surprise. Unlike his usual boisterous self, the Asta standing before them now was completely focused on the fight in front of him. Even the energetic Luck was scarily focused on the sight laying before him as he stopped himself from blinking as to not miss a single moment. Just like Asta had said, both Grim and Yami were using ki to read the little movements in the other's body. While Grim might have access to the transparent world and had an edge over Yami in that regard, Yami's years of experience allowed him to make up for that disadvantage. Focused solely on Yami's figure, Grim breathed lightly as he stomped down hard and charged. Breath of Flame's first form, Unknowing Fire. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Flashing forward in a blaze of fire, Yami watched as Grim raced towards him. This kid. He's stronger than he was since I last saw him fight. Surprised at his subordinate's sudden growth in power, Yami's grimoire opened up and flipped to a page. Dark Magic, Dark Cloaked Avidya Wild Slash. Coating his sword in dark magic, Yami swung his blade wildly in a disorderly fashion as several slashes of darkness charged out of the blade and shot towards Grim. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Grinning at Yami's attempt to slow his momentum, Grim used his fire magic to combust the area between his feet and the ground to rocket himself into the air and avoid the attacks. Rengoku. Performing several rotating front flips, Grim slashing down from the sky and released a beam of concentrated flame magic downwards. Watching the attack reach Yami, the smile on Grim's face deepened. Unfortunately that smile was soon wiped off his face. Not bothering to move, Yami merely raised his head and raised his hand in the direction of the beam. Dark Magic, Black Hole. What? Gathering a small mass of dark magic in front of his palm, the dark magic formed itself into the shape of a small black orb. Creating its own gravitational pull, the black orb drew Grim's attack into itself, absorbing the beam of fire with no issue. Adding insult to injury, Yami proceeded to pull out a cigarette and lit it by sticking the tip into the beam before it vanished inside his black hole. Closing his eyes and taking a puff out of it, he opened his eyes and looked up at the flying Grim with a mocking expression. So how's flying treating ye? TCH. Gathering his mana, Grim abandoned long-ranged attacks and used Dust Whirlwind Cutter to shoot down and rush Yami. Het. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Clashing swords together, the impact from the collision caused the ground beneath Yami to crack. Switching to Breath of the Beast, Grim barraged Yami with an onslaught of crazy cutting. Not bad, kid. Taking Grim a bit more seriously, Yami used reinforcement magic to strengthen his body in order to keep up with Grim's wild sword swings. Ting! 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 Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! How the fuck is he blocking me? A/N, he's Yami. Growing more and more annoyed by Yami's ability to counter, Grim didn't realize it but Yami was starting to have trouble keeping up with his cutting speed. Trading blow after blow, the sound of steel clashing against steel rung out as the Black Bulls watched in shock as Yami actually took a step back. Switching from Breath of the Beast to Breath of Water, Grim's movements lost their ferocious nature and became much calmer and serene. The hell? Having never seen use this spell before, Yami was caught off guard as cuts started appearing on his body. TCH. He cut him. Noelle yelled seeing the shallow cuts on Yami's body. He actually did. Vanessa said unable to believe what she was seeing. Switching between Breath of the Beast and Breath of Water in tandem, Grim kept confusing Yami's senses and started landing more and more attacks on his body. While they were shallow in nature, just the fact that he was able to land them at all was motivating. But it was only after managing to leave marks on his body that he realized that something wasn't right. Pausing his attack, Grim suddenly jumped back much to Yami's surprise. Did he figure me out already? Landing a bit away from him, Grim cursed in his head. This bastard's trying to adapt to my style. What are you doing, Yami? He suddenly called out. Stop holding back on me, use that attack that you used to defeat that Veto guy. Taking a puff out of cigarette, Yami looked at Grim and shook his head. You can't handle that type of attack. He's looking down on me. Incensed by Yami's answer, Grim grip on his sword tightened as his mana started to fluctuate causing the air in front of him to distort. Then I'll show you how ready I am. Since long-ranged attacks wouldn't work with Yami's black hole being active, Grim had no choice but to stick to close-ranged attacks. That being said, most of Yami's spells were lethal and if he wanted him to use them he'd have to force it out of him. Switching back to Breath of the Beast, Grim put his arms behind his back and charged him once more releasing a flurry of sword swings once he was close enough. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. 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 Defending against his strikes, Yami quickly grew accustomed to Grim's speed and timing. Ha! Give it up, kid, you won't be able to high. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Weaving in a kick amidst his sword strikes, Grim landed a solid kick to Yami's ribs. What? Asterisk clang. Asterisk. Not giving him a chance to react, Grim went back to attacking with his beast swords adding in some kicks in the process. Using the flexibility and enhanced physical buff that Breath of the Beast granted him, he continued using this unorthodox fighting style to land hits. TCH. Defending against Grim's sword attacks was hard enough considering that he was using two swords, adding in his random kicks to the equation made the situation even worse. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Ugh. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Asterisk ting. Asterisk. Seeing that Yami couldn't adapt to this new fighting style, Grim took advantage of this chance and sliced through his black hole with his beast swords. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Shit, was that his goal? Grinning at the dissipating black hole, Grim continued his assault on Yami before taking to the air and raining down a barrage of mist attacks. Breath of Mist, second form, 8-layered mist. Seeing the mist slashes descending on him, Yami countered with dark magic, dark cloaked avidya wild slash. Unleashing his own barrage in response, the Black Bull members watching from the sidelines stood in complete shock. What the fuck are we watching? Magna couldn't help but curse as he watched the mist and dark slashes collide in mid-air. Whoa! Grim's so strong. Luck laughed itching for some action of his own. Is the power that defeated me? Asta asked not remembering the time he fought against Grim in his black form. Damn it! At this rate Yami will end up running out of mana and I'll win by default. You're really something, kid. Yami said breathing a bit heavily. You know I'm not gonna stop until you use that attack, right? Give it up, it's not happening. Fine. Grim relented. Seriously? Yet. Grim nodded lowering himself from the sky and just barely hovering above the ground. Since you fought me, I'll give you all the yell I promised. What about the extra? The extra is for those who go the extra mile, you didn't do THA. Before Grim could even finish his sentence, dark magic had already gathered on Yami's blade as he raised it high above his head. Dark magic, Dark cloaked dimension slash. Slashing down, an invisible slash seemed to cut through space as it almost removed Grimm's arm from his body. If it wasn't for him being able to use ki in the transparent world to see what Yami was going to do mere seconds before he actually did it, Grimm doubted that he would have been able to avoid it. What the hell? I wasn't ready. I did the attack, now give me my bonus brat. You can't be serious. You almost cut my fucking arm off. No need to worry, I know a good doctor that could stick it back on no problem. Yami reassured him with a thumbs up. I don't want it missing in the first place. After a while of arguing, the rest of the Black Bulls managed to calm the two of them down. The whole thing eventually ended when Grimm gave Yami all the yell he promised him plus the extra for the dimension slash. Sigh. So that was the attack that defeated Veto. It's even more impressive than I thought. I don't think I have anything to counter. Though it's not like it's not without its flaws. Since the attack could only travel in a straight line, dodging it wasn't really an issue if he used his ki and transparent world to sense when he was gonna attack. That and the stance he had to take to use the spell was an obvious giveaway. Satisfied with the spar, Grimm pulled out a small notebook and wrote down his thoughts on the fight. While Yami may not have been going all out and used less than 5 spells, Grimm was content knowing that he could at least put up a fight against a captain. Since his goal was to become the strongest in this world, defeating Yami and all the other captains was the first step to achieving his goal. That being said, he didn't want to win cheaply by exhausting them of mana, only beating them in straightforward combat could satisfy him. Chapter 72, Challenge. Writing everything he could remember in his notebook, Grimm looked at a leaflet filled with Magic Knight propaganda. Inside it were the names and pictures of each squad's captain and vice-captain members. If I want to reach captain level of strength, then I first need to be stronger than their vice-captains. Looking over the list, his eyes were attracted to the section about the Purple Orcas squad. From what he could remember, the captain of the Purple Orcas had been arrested and his position had been taken over by some chubby dude with a weird hairstyle. Zerks Hui. Looking at the squad's vice-captain, there was a section detailing his rank and magic type. Currently stationed along the kingdom's border with other members of his squad. I guess I should go pay him a visit. Snapping the notebook shut, Grimm used the transparent world to sense Finral's location. Should I diet? Standing in front of a mirror, Finral practiced some poses while playing with the tips of his hair. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. Kicking open his door, Grimm walked in and grabbed him by the back of his collar. What are you doing? You're taking me to the kingdom's border. What? You have spatial magic, right? Might as well use it. But I don't want to go. I'll put in a good word for you with Rebecca's friends. As soon as he heard that, Finral quickly changed his tone. So which part of the border do you want to go to? The north? West? East? South? What are you guys doing? Seeing Grimm hovering off the ground and dragging Finral by the back of his collar, a roaming Luck couldn't help but ask what was going on. Finral's gonna take me to fight a vice-captain. Wait, what? Cool. Luck said. Wanna come along? Hell yeah. Seeing Luck's enthusiasm, Grimm told Finral to open up a portal. While Finral was busy doing that, Luck asked a question that had been bothering him for some time now. Why are you hovering? To which Grimm responded with, why walk when you could fly? Stepping out of the portal with Luck and Finral in tow, Grimm took in the sight of the border. This place looks really boring. Pulling out the leaflet, he looked at the address and showed it to Finral. I think that's over there. He pointed. Looking in the direction he was pointing at, a massive grin appeared on Grimm's face. Let's go say hello then. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Lord XERX. We're under attack. Bursting into the room of the vice-captain, the scene of a man with long light purple hair reflected in the man's pupils as the purple-haired man elegantly took a sip of his tea before placing it down on the saucer. Raising his head, the purple-haired man known as Zerks looked at the purple orca member that had burst into his room and in a gentle voice he asked. How many? One, sir. One. Now if this was a normal person they would be extremely worried over the fact that they were being invaded by a single person, but as a noble Zerks clearly didn't think the same as the others. Very well, let us deal with this peasant. Getting to his feet, Zerks left his room followed by the purple orca member. By the time they got outside, the sight laying before them left them shocked. Sitting on top of a mountain of passed-out purple orca members, a black-haired boy no older than 15 looked down at them with a grin plastered across his face. Took you long enough, I was getting bored of stacking bodies. Seeing the unconscious faces of his squad members stacked on top of the other, Zerx started shaking with anger. How dare you? What was that? Can't hear you from up here. Grim cupped his ears trying to enrage the vice captain. You dare mock me? What? I still can't hear you. Give me minute, I'll lower myself down to your level. My level? Jumping down, Grim landed with a loud bang. Better, now you were saying something about wanting to be mocked. Seeing his vice captain being looked down upon by a commoner, and a boy at that, the purple orca member stood in front of his superior. Do you know who you're talking to? A dead man. He is Lord Xerx Lugner. And you will show him the respect he deserves. Nah, I'm good. Phew 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 phew. Zerx startled chuckling. Lord Zerx. The purple orca member said concerned over his laugh. Step back Joshua, I'll show this boy what it means to mess with a noble. Opening his grimoire up, Zerx pushed Joshua back. Finally starting Hui. Knowing that Zerx used ice magic, Grim's grimoire glowed blue as he switched to breath of water. Come. He doesn't seem that strong. Watching the fight take place from on top of a building in the distance, Finral and Luck commented on the action. I wanna go hit on some girls. Finral cried looking at all the women in the distance. Nope, Grim said I need to make sure you stay close so we can leave when he's done. Luck, I promise I'll be quick. He pleaded. Nope. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk. Mimicking the fluid movement of water, Grim used flowing dance swerve through all the ice shards being shot at him. He's evading Lord Zerx's attacks. Who is this boy? Not wearing his magic night robe, the current Grim resembled any other commoner that could be found anywhere. Is this all you've got? I thought a vice captain would be stronger. You. Thrusting his hand forward, spikes of ice burst out of the ground and charged towards Grim. Ice magic, ice slicer. Stopping in his tracks, Grim stomped down hard on the ground and using the physical enhancements granted to him by the base breath of the beast power, he shot forward above the ice spikes. What? Lord Xerx. Flying through the air and tightening his hand into the form of a fist, Grim pulled his arm back and body-shotting Zerx's stomach with the force of a cannonball. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Kaya. Involuntarily bending his body forward, Zerx's eyes rolled into the back of his head as he shot backwards. Crashing into the wall of his base, cracks spread from his point of impact before completely crumbling. Lord Xerx. Watching his vice-captain foam from the mouth, Joshua ran to his side. Was that it? Looking at the crying face of Joshua and the unconscious Zerx, Grim felt disappointed by the power of this vice-captain. Could he be faking? Is he trying to catch me off guard? Paranoid over the fact that a vice-captain went down so easily, Grim assumed that he was faking his unconscious state in order to attack him when his guard was lowered. Breath of flame. Switching breath styles, Grim got into a sword stance and slashed his sword upwards. Rising scorching sun. Slashing his sword upwards, Grim released a large spinning wheel of flames that tore right through the middle of the purple orca's base, splitting it in half. He's not getting up. Did he really pass out? Resting his sword on his shoulder, Grim shrugged his shoulders and took to the air. He just destroyed one of the kingdom's bases. Yami is gonna kill us. Finral cursed. Ha ha ha, yet. Luck laughed. Why are you so cheerful? This could be seen as treason. It'll be fine. Luck reassured him. Yo guys. Grim called, flying towards them. I'm ready to go. Looking at the smoke in the background and hearing Joshua's cries, Finral sighed and opened a portal. Let's just go. Chapter 73, Azure Deer. Where to now? Let's go to the Azure Deer. Grim replied before stepping through the portal. Think of the girls, Finral, think of the girls. Finral repeated to himself over and over again. Why do you want to go there? Luck asked Grim while Finral was trying to calm himself down. They're actually quite an impressive squad if you look at their history. The previous captain of the Azure Deer is our very own Wizard King, Julius Novacrono. The captains of both the Black Bulls and Golden Dawn were both vice-captains of that squad, and their current captain is the youngest captain in Clover Kingdom history. Now why wouldn't I want to go to such a fun place? Hearing him describe the Azure Deer's achievements, the stars in Luck's eyes brightened. Cool. We ready to go yet? Grim called Finral. Sigh, why are we doing this again? Grim clicked his tongue before answering. Have you ever heard the phrase, with great power, comes great responsibility? What? Yeah, didn't think you did, but that's besides the point. You see Finral, I don't want that kind of shit weighing on me. Responsibility? Do I look like a responsible person to you? Is that a trick question? Ignoring him, Grim continued. I prefer the phrase, with great power comes a shit ton of fun, get me? No, I'm completely lost. Sigh Finral, my dude, I'm going to become strong while avoiding as much responsibility as possible. Accidentally killing the wrong person? Shouldn't have been standing there. Property damage? That building wasn't there when I arrived. The paperwork didn't make it to HQ? Someone must have lost it on the way. See? None of this shit will touch me. I still don't understand. Then I'll put it in terms that you will understand. I won't accept any responsibility for my actions and will focus on having as much fun as I can, consequences be damned. Oh. But what does that have to do with you challenging the vice captains? Simple. Grim smiled. I won't accept any responsibility for what I'm about to do next. That's too reckless. And you're not even wearing a mask. They'll recognize you if they see you again. A mask? I had enough of masks during COVID. The fuck's a COVID? Ah Finral, just think about it like this. I'm about to pump and dump on an entire Magic Knight's base. Pump and dump? Maybe jizz and whiz would be a more appropriate metaphor? Or ejaculate and then evacuate. There's also blow my load then hit the road, do the deed then use my speed, shoot the goo then bid adieu etc. What are you talking about? Grim stroked his non-existent beard. I'm basically gonna do a lot of things to that Magic Knight squad until I'm satisfied, and once that's over I'm gonna leave using my greatest speed. Ha! It rhymed. Placing his hand on Finral's shoulder, Grim showed off a confident smile. Now then, on to the next one. Not waiting for him to reply, Grim charged through the portal followed by Luck and then a deflated Finral. Whistle. This place is way nicer than ours. Grim complimented once he saw the base. They're one of the top squads after all. Finral sighed. I wonder what the vice captain of the Azure Deer is like. Grim shrugged in response. Fuck knows, I think I lost the leaflet. What? Finral exclaimed. So we don't even know who you're going to fight. Exciting isn't it? Grim grinned. Madman. You two should hide now. I'm about to make a mess. Seeing the smile on Grim's face, Finral quickly opened a portal and vanished from sight with Luck following behind. Seeing his squad mates leave, Grim started humming a song from his fragmented memories as he walked towards the Azure Deer base. I'm sorry for dripping, but drip is what I do. And one of these days I'm gon' get dressed and drip all over you. Hey! Who is that? Seeing Grim's figure approach, two members of the Azure Deer called out to him. Ignoring them, Grim kept humming as his mana started to fluctuate. Since he mostly used Breath of Flames in his fight against the purple orcas, he decided to use Breath of Wind this time. He's gonna attack. Feeling his spike in mana activity, the two Azure Deer squad members got into battle stances. Allowing the green glow to surround his figure, a small smile adorned Grim's face as he swiped his hand forward and shot out a powerful gust of wind that blew the two Magic Knights off of their feet. Warg! The two screamed as they were blown into the air. Now then! Grim's smile widened. Time to announce my arrival. Gathering his mana and condensing his mind magic into a ball of highly compressed air, Grim took up a pitcher stance and hurled it through one of the base's windows. Batter up! Asterisk boom! Asterisk! Feeling the entire ground shake, Grim watched as the ball of wind exploded inside the base, causing all the windows to shatter and making the ground tremor. Not as explosive as I thought. Condensing more balls of compressed air, Grim started hurling more of them through different windows until the base was on the brink of collapse and the Magic Knights had rushed out. Attack! We're under attack! Someone screamed as they charged out of the building and saw Grim tossing his wind orbs through their windows. Finally! Grim smiled as more and more Magic Knights gathered outside. Took you long enough. Out of all the Magic Knights that had come out, only one was able to catch his eye. A woman in her 20s dressed in fur white clothing as if it was winter. She had short black hair, grey eyes and wore a fuzzy white hat. If anything, she was probably in the top 3 attractive women he had seen since coming to this world. "State your name and reason for attacking us," she said, taking charge. "My name? Shouldn't you introduce yourself first before asking for my name? Didn't your parents teach you about manners?" Manners? Looking at their damaged base, the woman couldn't help but wonder what kind of manners this guy's parents had taught him. A/N, joke's on her, he doesn't know / has any. Breathing lightly, the woman bowed and introduced herself. "Fragile Tormenta of the Azure Deer." Tormenta? What a shitty family name. Grim mumbled after hearing her introduction. Feeling her eye twitch at his comment, Fragile did her best to smile. "Now sir, can you please introduce yourself?" "Me? Well, Miss Tormenta, I'm the guy who's about to torment you and your little friends." Creator's thoughts. Errata. Whew. Attacking the Azure Deer now, Grim sure has balls to do that. Then again, is there anything Grim wouldn't do? Funny enough, I was gonna make him attack the Golden Dawn first but switched to the Azure Deer because they have better long-term feats, Julius, Yami, William, Rill, and a new character that's recently been introduced in the manga. LOL, did anyone notice how Grim started using his magic differently in this chapter? Chapter 74, Winds of Destruction. Arg. The unified voices of the Azure Deer members rang out as they were caught in a giant cyclone that flung them all over the place. Blowing through them like a storm, Grim sent dozens of magic knights flying with a simple flick of his wrists. A/N, I know some of you get that reference. What is this guy? Somehow managing to stay on her feet, Fragile felt her clothes been blown violently as he companions were tossed all over the place. Using her arms to block her face, she barely managed to keep her eyes open as Grim's figure grew closer and closer. "Is this all you guys are capable of? Not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed," Grim said as he started throwing wind orbs. "Air bombs?" "Yeah, air bombs at them." Watching them explode and create explosions of air that devastated the magic knights was quite interesting. "You know, for a squad that produced so many outstanding magic knights, you guys are really subpar. We have to stop him." Gritting her teeth together, Fragile's grimoire opened up as she raised her hands into the air. Snow creation magic, unclimbed ice wall. Bursting out from the ground, a thick sheet of ice blocked the shockwaves created from the air bombs and protected the magic knights long enough for them to ground themselves and counter-attack. "Oh!" Grim's eyebrow rose. "Now!" A magic knight yelled as dozens of Azure Deer squad members jumped over the ice wall and started raining down spells. "That's better." Grim grinned. Closing his eyes and taking in a deep breath, his eyes flashed open as the green aura around him and his grimoire intensified to an unbelievable degree. "As an element that I'm not used to using a lot, I've got to admit, its versatility is off the charts." What's he doing? Standing motionless and waiting for the attacks to land, the air around Grim started to become visible as it started revolving around him at high speeds, creating a ring of air at his feet that started sprouting out many tornadoes into the air. Watching the enemy magic about to land on him, Grim spoke a single word. "Condense." Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Asterisk boom. Asterisk. Did we get him? Watching all those attacks land on the boy, many magic knights thought that there was no way that such a young mage could withstand the power of so many mages. But to their dread, the moment the air cleared, the sight of Grim standing there completely unharmed while being surrounded by violent winds that had condensed themselves around him and into the shape of a ball with him at its center. So it can be used defensively as well. Well, ain't that something? Grim said to himself as he admired the wind barrier around him. How is this possible? Even Fragile, a noble of the Clover Kingdom who sported above average power as a mage, was astonished by this sight. Besides her captain, she never thought she'd see the day that a single person could withstand the combined might of a near-complete magic squad. Yawn, I guess I should end this now. End this? What does he mean? Looking at the dumbfounded expressions of the Azure Deer magic knights, Grim merely snapped his fingers and watched as the giant air bomb that was protecting him exploded outwards. Cough cough. Coughing up several mouthfuls of blood, Fragile's originally white hat was stained red as she and the rest of her squad were covered from head to toe in dust and dirt. After releasing all the compressed air within his air bomb, the following explosion was something unimaginable. The force generated from the attack was not only powerful enough to violently toss everyone back, it had practically pushed their base to the verge of collapse as pieces of the building were starting to break apart and crumble. And throughout this entire endeavor, the source of this destruction had yet to take a single step. Struggling to even lift her head up from the floor, the desolate landscape laid out before her shocked Fragile's kind heart as she saw the miserable state of her comrades. From sight alone she could tell that many of them had suffered broken bones. It was even worse for the ones that had been slammed into the already crumbling base as the glass shards from Grimm's earlier attack were still laying around. Looking at his work, Grimm released a small sigh as he stepped over the broken bodies of the Azure Deer members and made his way over to Fragile. While he hadn't used any of his true skill in this fight, the mana cost for those air bombs were pretty horrifying. He once again had to thank King for making the wish to make him part elf and giving him ridiculous mana reserves. While air bomb itself wasn't a spell, it was definitely had enough destructive power to rival one. Some Miss Tormenta, on a scale of 1 to 10, how tormented do you currently feel? Crouching down in front of the distressed woman, Grimm showed off his kindest smile. I. Yes. Who are you? She finally managed to say before passing out. Just as he was about to reply with a snarky comment, Grimm noticed his grimoire shining. Oh. Seeing 3 new wind spells appear in it, Grimm couldn't help but scratch his head. Seriously, what are the conditions to get new spells? Breathing out lightly, Grimm straightened himself as Luck and Finral appeared by his side. That was so awesome! Luck praised as he started looking at the damage caused by Grimm's last attack. You were like, condense, and then boom. Big explosion, lots of screams, and now the building's collapsing. We're dead, we're so dead. Finral kept repeating with lifeless eyes. Looking at the sky, Grimm reckoned that they could probably fit in one more squad before having to call it quits. While he could probably go all day, the captains would be returning soon, and besides, Finral's mental state wasn't the best at the moment. The sooner this day was over for him the better it'd be. Where we going next? Luck asked, bursting with energy. Let's go to the Coral Peacocks. Creator's thoughts. Errata. Totally random, Fairy Tale Universe vs Black Clover Universe. I personally feel like Black Clover would take the W cause of all their hacks, magics and shit. Don't see anyone beating Zagred tbh, let alone people like Julius/Yami/Dante/Devils, but my friend thinks Fairy Tale would win. In all fairness, I gave up on Fairy Tale a long time ago and could barely get past 20 CHPS of 100-year quest, so I don't know how strong everyone is currently. All I know is that there apparently exists 5 dragons, called Dragon Gods, who can apparently reveal Acknowledger in power. But in future Rogue's timeline, Acknowledger ruled the world, so yet. Mashima storytelling as usual. Chapter 75, Fighting Without Magic. Why is every other Magic Knight base better than ours? Standing side by side with Luck and Finral, Grimm and the others stood staring at the giant building in front of them. Time to get started. After fighting both the Purple Orcas and Azure Deer squads, Grimm found himself becoming more and more disappointed with this kingdom's Magic Knights. While he might not have fought every member of the squads due to some of them being out on missions, he reckoned that it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. Vanishing from sight, Luck and Finral watched from a distance as Grimm walked towards the last Magic Knight base. I wonder how I could go with pure martial skill. What is happening? Dashing towards the gathered Magic Knights, Grimm took advantage of his key sensing ability in the transparent world to accurately read his opponent's actions and quickly use the smallest amount of movement to evade their long-ranged attacks before closing in on a crystal mage. Boom. Enhanced by his breath of the beast base strength, Grimm ruthlessly slammed his palm into the crystal mage's stomach, knocking the wind out of him and creating an audio boom before striking up with a palm uppercut so strong that it lifted him off his feet. Rick! Someone screamed as they saw the eyes of their friend roll into the back of his head after getting hit by Grimm. Kill him! Ignoring the screams of the Magic Knights, Grimm grabbed Rick's airborne leg and with all his strength he slammed his body down into the concrete. Listening to the sound of Rick's bones breaking from the force of the slam, the faces of the Magic Knights that Grimm was fighting cringed as they felt as if their own bones were shaking. Not bothering to waste any more time, Grimm released the leg he was holding and charged towards another mage located ahead of him. While the mages were shocked at Grimm's methods of dispatching one of their comrades, at the end of the day they were experienced Magic Knights. Seeing him charging towards one of their weaker members, 3 Earth mages stood in front of their comrade protectively while a Steel mage shot a bullet at Grimm from the right side. Simultaneously, a Lightning mage shot a stream of lightning at him from the left side while a Chain mage ran after him from behind. A perfect tactic that would deal with most opponents. It was just a shame that Grimm wasn't most opponents. With his key sensing combined with the transparent world, their actions were as clear as day to him as a smile slithered onto his face. Before any attack could reach him, Grim was mere moments away from arriving in front of the 3 earth mages. Seeing this, the 3 earth mages created an earth wall in front of them to block his advance. Grinning like a madman, Grim didn't slow down in the slightest as he charged towards the wall before doing something that no one expected. Instead of breaking through it with pure force, Grim chose to stretch out his leg and use the wall as a platform to kick off of and performed a clean backflip. Watching as his figure soared over the 3-directional attack, the faces of the 3 mages fell as the stream of lightning flashed through the empty space before striking the steel mage. At the same time, the bullet fired by the steel mage had lodged itself deeply into the lightning mage's shoulder, causing his to howl in pain. Worst of all was the chain mage. As it turned out, he added a pointed edge on the end of his chain. Landing back on the ground as the chain pierced through the earth wall, the smile on Grim's face deepened as he stood right next to the outstretched chain. Grinning wildly, he grasped the chain, and with a small tug he pulled the chain back, ripping the earth wall that was attached to the pointy end out from the ground. Pulling on the other end of the chain that was being held by a dumbstruck chain mage, he pulled the mage off his feet and towards himself before connecting his foot with the mage's face. Asterisk bang! Asterisk! Kicking the mage into the distance, Grim, who now had full control of the chain, started swinging it around. Despite it having a heavy block of earth attached to the end of it, his base breath of the beast strength allowed him to swing it around like it was nothing. Now equipped with a weapon, Grim made full use of it as he started swinging it around wildly, catching many mages off guard and sending a dozen of them flying with several broken bones. Watching them fall like bowling pins, Grim increased his swinging speed to the point that he felt like he was creating a powerful mini-air current despite not using wind magic. As the magic knights fell one by one, only one thought emerged in Grim's mind. Where's their vice-captain? Unlike the other vice-captains in the leaflet, only this one was remembered by Grim. Kirsch Vermilion, the older brother of Mimosa Vermilion and the cousin of Noel Silva. Ah, how unsightly! Walking out from the entrance of the Coral Peacock base's door, a young man with long side-parted hair that is tied back with a braid going across his hairline and a thin band around his head walked out. Sporting 2 black hanging earrings and the Coral Peacock magic knight vest, Grim paused his assault on the broken magic knights and shifted his attention onto the newcomer. Kirsch Vermilion. Halting his steps, Kirsch took a moment to look Grim up and down before showing off an expression of disgust. Filthy. Ah, that's more like it. Grim smiled, dropping the chain and looking at Kirsch. For a moment I was worried that you'd turn out to be a nice guy. But that attitude of yours will make this so much more satisfying. Letting out a yawn, Grim stretched his arms. Now I know that you weren't there when I said this previously, but let's see if your status can protect you from my power.
Thanks for listening.